Devon spends time catching up on all that has passed in the 2 years he spent in the dream realm. He discovers that a man named Hizik from Hearthhome had been courting his wife, seeking her hand to claim rulership. He also learns some judges have been appointed to help manage Necrot, and they have grown wealthy with no explanation. After catching up on developments, Devon decides it is time to perform more powerful magic, and he heads back to the brackish fen with his apprentices. He spends a few days there to capture the spirits of some elementals in gems before returning home. On reaching his house, he finds 2 of Hizik's guards standing outside. With his heckles raised, he enters. Inside, he has a short verbal confrontation with Hizik, warning him to stay away from Devon and his family. How will Devon deal with the slow creeping corruption? What new powers will Devon unlock? Will Hizik heed Devon's warning? Let's find out now on Dicing with Death.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dicing with Death. How are you doing today, my favorite player?
Hello, I'm doing well. Is that the new meme? Favorite players?
Absolutely. You're definitely my favorite player. Forget the rest of them. I just say that to appease their egos.
Yeah.
It doesn't count with anyone else but you.
My ego has dissolved. That's because they're not married. They still have egos. I'm a broken man. I know my place in this universe.
Yep. 4 hours a week to yourself and you spend it here. Life is hard.
Alrighty. We just got a lovely recap. Thanks,
Lovely.
Thanks, Layla and Chris.
Yes, and happy birthday, Chris. It is his birthday today.
Well, happy birthday.
Yes.
We got you a nice steaming piece of Dicing with Death.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully some people in chat saying happy birthday, bastards.
I mean, would he know if they did? Does he watch the chat VODs? Does anyone do that? I watch when I watch VODs on Twitch. I do not usually read chat unless something totally scandalous happens, like a bunch of people spamming happy birthday.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I have no idea how this works. I've never been inside their minds or their process. But we are dealing with Devon. And Devon is due a level up after the Feywild expeditions and all that other fun jazz.
Are we starting with that? I mean, we can't let Nick have the most powerful wizard in the Nealverse, so we've gotta catch Devon up here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he still has some ego, so we have to make sure to tamp it down.
Yeah.
Not quite married yet. So Devon, what level are you presently?
7-9, 7 warrior, 9 wizard. I think level 6 spells come at 12, right? So we can probably safely level up to level 11 without breaking anything. We could just do one level at a time.
I was just gonna jump to 11 or 12, but I think 11 is good for now. We don't need to.
12 is good, but that's gonna change the game.
Yeah, I think one more section at this power level will bump you to the top of the power level, and then we can see what it's like beyond. Once we've come to some sort of milestone that has fundamentally changed the game already, then we can add in the magic that changes it.
The big thing with 12 is going to be, I think that's when you get enchant an item. Mm-hmm. So I'll start making like rods, staves, and wands.
Right. So let's play before the rod, staves, and wands come along. Don't need.
So are we just gonna level wizard and leave warrior where it is?
No, I don't know why we wouldn't level them both.
I don't know. I mean,
I guess you haven't done much warrioring about in a little while.
Yeah.
All right. If you've convinced me. Just the wizard. You sold me.
Maybe we'll do some warrioring.
Mm-hmm.
Warring? Warfaring?
Fighting.
fighting
Yeah.
with my fighting man. Wizard experience, wizard spell progression.
What is the appropriate
12
reflective track for us? Undappled trail. Here we go.
Remember what time of day the events of last episode occurred? The confrontation with Isaac, was that that was in the evening?
That was when you were coming back to town, and I think you had left the Fen in the morning. You spent the night in Grecos, and then you came into town a few hours later. So it would be like mid-afternoon, probably.
Okay. Yeah, we have to only level wizard so that I can be level 7-11.
Oh, yeah. We can do that.
Should I...
We have that power.
Do we care about like times? Like, do we want to make a copy, or should I just level this character sheet up? Like, we did a level 6 version of Devon and saved it.
Yeah, I'll just make a copy right now before you change anything.
Okay.
There we go. So that is copy of Devon. So that is Devon level. What were you? 9? 10?
7, 9. The wizard's the important one.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, we do need to check in on some of the NPCs. Heifer and Kronos, you read my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Right. 7-11. So, big things to change. We'll get a few more hit dice. We'll get... Actually, do wizards get hit dice?
They
9?
They get them at 10, but they don't roll at 11.
Okay. So I guess I'll roll that first. It will be pretty insignificant. So it'll be a R D4 plus 1 divided by 2 plus 1 for con. No, plus 0.5 for con, because I won't get con bonus at 11.
Correct. Yeah.
Ouch. So I roll a 1. So I got 1 each at 10 and 11. Divided by 2 is 1, plus the half of my con is 0.5, so I gain 1.5 HP. Which brings me... Okay, I had a half HP before, so it takes away a little bit of sting. So 45, that brings me to 46 max HP. We've been rolling D4s for Wizard, right? Actually, I don't even know.
I don't think so. I think we've probably been rolling D6s.
Does anybody know? I thought we were rolling D4s. How far back will my, we have, let's see.
You know, great question.
Looking through the chat logs, but I don't know how to. There's no McTacky here, is there?
I think it's like 2 a.m. for him.
Yeah.
I think he's asleep.
Well, I guess we'll start with this for now, and if someone's like, you were rolling D6s, we can give me a chance for extra.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust you guys.
You shouldn't.
You're fairly confident, you think? You think? What does that do me? All right. And then I will gain 2d13 more MP. I think that MP does not scale as well into the late game.
Okay, when you leveled up to level 2, your max HP went from 7 to 12. You gained 5, but there weren't individual rolls handed out.
Yeah. By that I mean, so I leveled up twice and I gained 9 MP. That is the equivalent of like 1 second level spell slot or something.
Yes.
So like, it's fine. I think it's fine. I can already cast like 3 5th level spells a day.
Oh, but well, like, you did roll shit on your MP.
I did roll shit.
Yeah.
But even if I had rolled,
should have gotten 14.
Average would have been 13, right?
14, but yeah.
No, 13
yeah,
divided by 2
you would
is 6.5 times 2 is 13.
But you don't, 6.5 isn't the average.
6.5 is
No, because it's 1 plus 13 divided by 2 is the
yeah.
average.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So the way the mana system was designed is that when you are high enough level to be casting like 6th level spells, you should only be able to cast just a few of them a day. And by the time you can cast 9th level spells, you should be able to cast like 1, maybe 2 9th level spells before depleting all of your mana. So the idea is that the high level spells are really taxing on you.
Yeah. But but I can basically cast 1st level spells like cantrips.
Yes, for days and days.
I mean, not days and days, but like probably every round of combat I could blow off I don't have magic missiles because I'm not a basic ass mage, but you have glance every single attack that is thrown at me.
And I think that is maybe a more fun way than doing like an armor spell, because then you can you can glance blows all day long, whereas armor is sort of just like a permanent glancing blows nonsense. You have 84 MP. And you can cast 5th level spells. I'm assuming that YouTube link is to a Rickroll, but I will go ahead and roll a D6 for HP anyways. Okay. Instead of that 1 on the D4. Yeah. Nice.
Okay, so that's an extra half HP.
Yeah. An extra half HP.
Which doesn't act. So it brings me from 46 to 46 and a half.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
Nice. I probably get better saves.
Yeah. DM screen. Level 11 Wizzy. 7, 9, 8, 8, 10. No, that's a warrior. I'm sorry. 11, 7, 9, 11, 8.
Oh, I've got a scare. Sorry, say that again. Wait,
11, 7, 9, 11, 8.
Okay, so that improved my rods, my petrification, and your spell.
But not your breath weapon or paralyzation, poison, death magic, which makes sense.
And I probably... When do wizards get proficiencies?
They get weapon proficiencies every level. I'm sorry, non-weapon every level divisible by 3. Weapons every divisible by 5.
Okay, so I don't actually get anything. I mean, I'm waiting on warrior level to get more weapons.
Yeah.
And I probably... Do I have spare... I don't think so. Anyways. Okay. Do we want to give me freebie spells? Do we even care? Maybe we can just come up with new spells as they come up.
Yeah, I think it would be appropriate if there were a couple of spells you wanted to grab. If there were,
I don't know what they are yet. I think can we just like pick them up later? Oh, well, so Contact Other Plane was one that we failed. I wanted Contact Other Plane and Remove Curse. And I failed those at earlier levels.
Those are appropriate to have grabbed now because you've been speaking with elementals and you've been inhabiting their bodies and they're
I brought the other plane to me, and there will be more of that. Have no fear. Okay, so I'll go ahead and add those two as freebies. Does that seem fair?
That seems fair.
Yeah, we do probably need to catch up more on, because I have 3 4th level spells and 3 5th level spells. I guess that's pretty typical, right? For like a high level wizard to have a couple of they've got like their
3 5th level doesn't seem unreasonable. 3 4th level seems a little low, especially when you're rocking.
It's because we power leveled straight from like 6 to 9, so I think we had like one session with 4th level spells, and then
and you have 16 int, so you get 11 spells per level. Except for the extra 2 that you've made at 1st level, which have brought you to 13 1st level spells.
Yeah.
Direct?
That, remember it was like command, but for constructs.
Right. Command for constructs, and then dimensional breadcrumbs.
That
allows you to get back home when you're on another plane.
It's like it's the opposite. It's a pass with trace spell.
Right.
Contact Other Plane, and then remove curse. And I eventually want to make a bunch of remove curse scrolls.
Mm-hmm.
To wait, I don't want the priest remove curse. I want it's probably exactly the same, but is it like a higher level wizard spell? Yeah, it's 4th level wizard.
That makes sense.
The main reason I wanted to remove curse is in case I go insane from contact other plane. I think remove curse allows you to, maybe dispel magic would allow me to
Remove curse is an interesting.
Yeah, I don't really like it. I don't know. Like, I don't like that it's like it's even worse in 5th edition, where it's like it's just like it's a step function kind of change in the game. Like you go from being totally fucked by curses and
To completely
stuff to like
immune,
get out of
practically.
jail free card.
Yeah, it would be nice if it was either there were some steps or there were some
Or like a
there's
process.
range of or a range
like
of failure. Like you can remove the curse, but you didn't fully remove it, and so XYZ.
Yeah, or like permanent effects of curses.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe just like include it in, I mean, I think this is probably just better storytelling or better DMing, is to like have a curse that's not necessarily removed by a remove curse. There's like a process, or maybe you need a remove curse and a process.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Maybe remove curse needs to be cast under a certain set of conditions, and so you need to like adventure to the place to remove the curse. It can't just be done anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. Right. I want for contact other plane, just because reading it in this, and it's got a big table and stuff. Insanity occurs, lasts for 1 week for each whatever. There's a 1% chance the wizard dies unless a remove curse spell is cast.
Nice.
So having some emergency scrolls of remove curse
That your minions can cast
that my
upon you.
minions can cast so I don't die.
Nice.
It's probably a good idea.
It seems reasonable to me.
Okay. Anything else logistic we want to do, or should we get back to
Let's see.
stuff?
You gained your spells. Just contact other plane and remove curse.
Yeah.
Okay.
I may. I mean, there will probably be others. I mean, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess some travel spells would probably be handy. I don't know. I'm still like walking everywhere, but I don't know which one I want. Which one feels divani. Like teleport feels kind of cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Get a fly or something. I don't know.
You don't have a specialization, right?
No. I'm a fighter wizard.
Yeah, but sometimes we bend rules.
Yeah. How would you do specialization with MP? Would you do like a separate MP pool for the specialization?
I think you just say spells within your specialization cost some amount less.
Oh, that's a cool way to do it.
So yeah, first level spells would probably cost 2 instead of 1. Second could cost 5 instead of 7. Or we'd have to do the math to figure out what the right progression is, but a point or 2 of MP less. Maybe the spell level MP less.
Yeah.
That's an easy way of going about it. Yeah, and I think that more or less follows the progression. I think it's maybe a bigger boost at 3rd level than any other.
Okay.
Oh well.
So I think we'll pick up more spells as they become relevant. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, Devon, you've been back for a little while. You've explored the other planes.
I don't know if I have been back for a little while. Because I think there's stuff that happens like the day after that confrontation with Isaac. probably after a sleepless night. Do you want to run down this map of town, or should we do that? So I guess I was back for a day or something, right? Wandering around. Do you want to explain your doodle, or?
Yes, let me find it and bring it into the map of game so the viewers can see as well. Pains, Dicing with Death, McTacky and I built this map, so you know it's accurate.
Is this going to be a handout or a separate map?
I will add it as a handout as well, but for now I'm just adding it to the, oh my god, it's massive.
That is actually massive. Wait, you just added this over the world map?
It's just a token on the thing. I'll fix it later.
Okay, we can put it out in the ocean or something.
Yeah, okay, out in the ocean's a great spot.
A
little bit bigger.
So I forgot about the cockatrice pit, so that's a thing. And then we weren't sure whether my house or my family house were in the same spot, and it looks like they were not. Is Devon's family house like out in the hills?
Yes, Devon's family house is up on the hill where they did the goat farming, is what the deep
okay.
The great lore taker said.
My parents' house. That's not where my wife lives.
No, right. Your wife lives in Devon's house.
My wife lives next to the cockatrice pit.
She lives in your house. Yes.
And the toddler plays in over the cockatrice pit. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to build an extension of the tower on top of the cockatrice pit. So we have a basement cockatrice pit instead of open cockatrice. Well, it's got a cage on top, but
right.
There were no tragedies with the cockatrice pit while Devon was away. Or are there?
If you ask, yes, there were tragedies, but they've since removed the stone figures from the cockatrice pit because it was too horrific.
How did they remove them?
How
did they get inside? Was it just like teenagers squeezing between the bars and getting themselves killed?
There was one drunk who stumbled in and sort of like fell in, and in the process of like getting out between the bars, just slipped into them. I think
there's like a cage over the top of it, so I think you would have to try to get in.
And you would be surprised. Drunk people can be very liquid and slip between things when they're not paying very much attention. And then there was an incident where people
I don't actually ask. I was just, I was surprised to see it there on the map. I was like, oh yeah, I have that thing. Anyways, what is an agroa? Agroa? Is that like a Greek term that I'm not aware of?
Yeah, it's a Greek. The agora is where they would like have their commerce and markets. These are essentially just open markets.
I think you spelled agora wrong then. Agroa. Okay, wait. One of them is spelled wrong. Two of them are spelled right. Okay, so these are markets.
That's supposed to be ORA, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just the one that's spelled wrong. The livestock agroa, because animals agroa.
Yeah, they do. Unlike vegetables.
And the inn is called Innakrot. I like it. Platos' shrine has migrated. So that means I've got like interesting. There's like an old shrine next to my tower, right?
Yeah.
And like a weird catacomb-y like tunnels underneath.
Yes.
Although I guess the tunnels probably extend all the way to his new shrine eventually.
You know, you would probably be the only one who would know and who would have the ability to go in through those tunnels. So, yeah.
That's the point. Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't know that there's anything else we need to do with this map, unless there's something you want to explain, but I'm feeling good.
See. No, there's some, new developments and houses on the east side of the river. This is all, the reason these, roads are all windy is because they're switchbacking up hills. That's supposed to indicate that this is uphill and this is
more
uphill.
Like around and between. Oh, okay. I guess that's uphill, but there's also like around and between hills rather than
totally straight up. The creek defines the low point in the map, and everything else extends up from the creek in all directions. Yeah. Yeah. And Isaac's house is down over here, and Akitos' house is way up here. And I think that's good.
Okay.
Right.
So the morning after that confrontation with Isaac, maybe even that evening, I'll consult the library, and then I have some conversations to have. So Devon wants to go to the library and see if there's any like tales or precedent for like this sort of justice. Like, or is this like the biblical times and we're writing those tales? Like, are there
What sort of
records in the
justice are
library?
we talking about?
So, like, is there a local, like, so in the library, we've been recording a lot of I mean, it's not a very useful library, but the one area that it is rich in is local lore. Like, we've been recording local histories and stuff.
Yeah.
So, are there like local tales of like an elder's wife getting like hit on by a neighbor and that guy getting stoned to death or something like that?
Yes.
Like,
well, not so much stoned to death, but hunted down by the elder and the elder's, friends, comrades, associates, and being beaten to death. Yes.
So that is the standard operating procedure under such circumstances. And I'm sure Devon spends a few hours in the library looking up these stories, and it's like, okay, elders of old. Like, this is considered. I don't know. Like in our Western tradition, that's like like coveting thy neighbor's wife or whatever is considered a
no
sin against the gods. There's similar
and
precedent here.
Here it's not so biblical being handed down by the gods saying this is how things must be done. It's more that this realm has been, there hasn't been like one set of code of laws that has overwrapped everyone, and so local traditions have come up with their own things. And in the heat and the desert and the difficult place to survive, if someone is so brazen and bold as to like make a move on your wife, they clearly can't be trusted for the good of society. They're clearly willing to upset social bounds, which everyone needs to really depend on to live. And if you can't trust your neighbor, then you're all gonna die. So
what about precedent on like bearing arms and war, like walking into another man's house with a spear out or a sword out? Like, is that considered like an act of aggression? Is that like a killable offense? Are there stories of like the neighbor shows up and walks into the elder's house with his sword out and gets clubbed for it? Or is that a little, I guess these are tougher times, maybe people.
You actually have a few instances in the library as you page through reading stories. There are quite a few stories that talk about people bringing weapons into each other's house, like they've come back from the hunt and they go over to blah, 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 and they have their weapons on them when they go. And there's lots of instances of people being armed in other people's homes in a way that no one seems to mind because the times are dangerous and people need to be armed. And then there are a few stories where people come back from a hunt or something and have a reason to be armed and then turn on and slay one of the nearby people. In fact,
usually with booze involved, right?
Sometimes with booze. Yes. I've already forgotten its name, but this little town down here on the coast has had particular problems with that. People coming back in from the ocean with tridents and nets of fish, and then stabbing and skewering one of the local leaders way back in the day, maybe
probably even
80 years ago.
A story about people coming back from a fish and drinking to celebrate, and someone hits on someone's wife and gets stabbed with a trident.
Yeah. But by and large, in these societies where everyone trusts each other and works closely together, weapons are not usually considered improper to bear in someone's house. But the context of this is always that these are the people you know and the people that you trust and the people that you work with.
Not
this
a merchant
Isaac
from afar.
Is a merchant from afar.
Yeah, this is new times. This is probably like most of these stories like do not speak highly of merchants from afar. Those are usually strangers treated with distrust, and sometimes they even get beat just for showing up.
In fact, there are more strangers living in Nekrot now than there are stories of strangers that have been gathered from the past. This area is undergoing, huge amount of influx of travelers and traders and merchants and whatnots. So this is very new ground you're treading.
For the record, Devon is proficient in literacy and folklore. So this is all very much up his alley. He is the keeper of these traditions, especially more so going forward. Okay. Consulting the history completed, the following morning, Devon will meet with one of the other new judges. I can't remember her name, but this was the Weaver or the whatever.
I wrote this down. I was prepared for this moment, Ryan.
Really?
You'll be so proud of me. Ulra and Rain.
Ulra.
Yeah.
Which is which?
Ulra is the former weaver.
Okay, and Rain, I don't even know. He was like a neighbor. He was like from a neighboring village or something. So Ura was a weaver, and
Mm-hmm.
Devon will go seek her. Is she in her old home, or has she also upgraded?
Pencil. Ulra has also moved up on one of the hills and has a nice fancy house that is much greater than her last. Yes. No longer is it filled with looms and weaving. Those are still back at the old place where her sister and her family continue to do their weaving. She is now...
I think Devon probably in the morning stops by their old weavery or whatever you call it and finds the family and gets directions up the hill to her house.
Yes.
This is
going back
the
to
following morning after a restless night. And, anyways, going back what?
To the map over here. Akitos is up here. Ulra is over here somewhere.
Okay.
I'll put a little X in Ulra. There we go. I swear those are words.
Okay. Well, Devon pays a visit. Is there also a line? This is probably early in the morning, so maybe the line hasn't started, unless there's like a line. People line up at dawn to speak with her.
There is a small line. There are 3 people in it. 2 of them are clearly like there together to settle some sort of dispute, and they're standing a good 6 feet apart, appropriately socially distancing in this time of disease and plague. And while the other person is like standing quite a ways back from them, trying not to get involved, as the like tense silence between these 2 people with the occasional shot looks.
As Devon approaches, is he...
You are noted by these people who quickly turn and lose track of whatever their arguments were to like observe Devon the Divine walking up the hill towards the house.
Okay. What's the setup like? Is there like an open door that he can walk through, or are we like lined up outside a closed door? Is there a guard
the doors are
order?
closed. There's no guard, but the front door, another set of swinging double doors with large vertical brass handles are currently shut. Could be locked, could not be locked. There are panels on either side that would look like they would open, but shutters are there to like keep them closed to block out the visuals from within. But as you approach the building, you can hear the like clinking of pots and pans and silverware on ceramic dishes. There are people inside eating or cooking or something like that.
Okay.
While
I think Devon, being a passive aggressive millennial, will instead of like asking, will use his ESP from the Sirona and project it inside the house to try and get like a lay of the land inside, like see like who's in there and what are they doing, like is there an audience with the judge, or is this like the judge having breakfast? So this is like probably as soon as he reaches range, like he sees the closed door, sees the people outside, they turn and stare, and then like he projects his wave of ESP and
do you have to like
for a few minutes
touch your Sirona to do it, or is it something
you tell me? I don't know. I mean, it's your magic item. I maybe touches the temple and like spaces out for a second to activate it, and then maybe looks lost in thought if he's like concentrating or like changing ESP targets. But it's mostly a fairly passive ability.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. You lose track of the people outside who are here for an audience and focus your thoughts inward on what is happening within.
I don't mean to eavesdrop. I just want to look cool, like I know what's going on, like whether I should knock or whether I should wait in line. Or...
You're the first person you find with your ESP is a servant who's got a big bucket of water, who's taking it to the kitchen, and you can sort of gaze. The surface thoughts are just like musing on the work, and okay, well, we got this one bucket that we're going to put in here, and I think that's going to be enough water for pasta.
I think technically I can only do 1 target a round, but I think that's like skipping to the next consciousness that I sense inside.
Yeah, the next person you come across is the judge herself. She seems to be seated very near to where that servant was walking across. There is sort of a calm, peaceful, tranquil serenity over her mind without any thoughts passing.
She's not weighing any case or anything. She's sitting down to breakfast. And
it seems like she's doing her like pre-breakfast meditation, perhaps. Her mind is very empty and blank.
And it's what time is it? It's not an ungodly hour, but it's early.
It's early. You know, you've already eaten.
Mm-hmm. So she's having a lazy morning. She's not or is this like? How rude would I be to knock? I think
you'll have to probably scout out some other minds to see if this is an unusual setup, because hers is very blank at the moment. At least on the surface, you know. You could still probe deeper.
Yeah, I'm not interrupting a case or something. I'll skip to another mind as I approach the door and probably knock, but I guess I'll get one last.
Yeah, the next person you come across is a cook from the kitchen, which is right nearby, and the cook is sort of humming a little song to herself, and you get this like impression that all is right with the world, and this is a very ordinary day.
Well, I think Devon approaches the door and knocks. Can we? I mean, I know we don't have clocks, but what time is it, roughly? Is this like an 8 a.m. or like
the sun is 30 degrees up in the sky.
Okay, we don't know the season. Anyway, so no one yet. Yeah. All right, whatever. I'm Devon. I knock.
It's like 9:30. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's late. That's like all right. You're.
You should be. Yeah.
Yeah. I knock on the door. Switch my attention back to the judge. He's probably irritated that someone would dare to knock.
Give her a meditation check, which she passes with flying colors. She doesn't even perceive the door. A servant comes to one of these little shutters nearby and flicks it open, you know, on either side. And she's about to admonish someone for knocking too early when she sees you, Devon. And then she shuts the shutter and opens the door with two big arms swinging it open before giving you a deep and gracious bow, saying, "Devon, my lord, please welcome."
Good morning. Is this, what was her name?
Ulra.
Is this Ulra's new residence?
This is the residence of your judge, she clarifies. And then, you know, after you step in, she'll shut the doors behind you to keep out the riffraff.
All right.
You'll see Ulra cross-legged on a cushion. Hearing your voice, her eyes begin to flicker open, and she will rise to meet you, walking forward before giving another long, deep bow.
I'll bow in response. What's the term of endearment for an older woman?
Madam, Your Honor.
Auntie, Your Honor. I don't know. What?
Sup, babe?
What? Sup, babe? Insert random platitude here. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Madam, it has been some time. I see we have both ascended since the last time we spoke. It's probably been years. It's probably like teenage Devon bringing goat hide to a weaver. The last time we encountered each other.
She nods. It has been some time. Your prolonged absence was difficult for all of us, and we are, at least I am, overjoyed to see you return.
I nod and probably take a seat.
Yeah.
I come seeking your counsel, Your Honor.
Then this is a great day for me. How may I serve you?
Yesterday afternoon, I had a confrontation with one of our new residents, Isaac.
Ah, yes.
He entered my home with soldiers and spears and made advances upon my wife.
Well,
I am led to believe that this has been going on for some time.
I believe the same.
Not really. I've handled it stoically, but I am concerned that a man like this will not learn, may not respect our laws, our traditions.
As I understand it, there are very few laws governing a situation like this?
No, but we have tradition, history.
Hmm.
If I, I imagine I would have been well within my right, slaying him and his soldiers in my home.
Her head bobs in understanding.
But cooler heads prevailed. I guess I'm not sure how to treat this intruder moving forward. I suppose for now things can be forgiven. Warnings have been delivered, but if he oversteps again, I don't know. I've been away for some time and much has changed.
You come seeking my advice. Is that correct?
Devon nods.
Then let me say to you that this Heisick fellow, while he may have offended you and trespassed on your grounds most improperly, has brought with him wealth, goods, trade, and is an asset in many ways to this city. However, I do see the problems with him. Perhaps there is a peaceable way that he can continue to function, but may not be in town. Have you considered exile? Allowing his men to trade, but he himself may not set foot?
Perhaps. I don't know if it has come to that yet. This was my first meeting with him, my first encounter with him. But the stories I've heard of him are not good. And of his wealth, we need that knot. I pulled the wealth of Necrot from the earth of these red hills. Trade with Hearthhome is important. But if I am to understand correctly, he is not of noble blood or divine birth. He is but a humble merchant, and of those there are aplenty.
It is possible, but he is the merchant, for better or worse, who has come here. And she will point to the cushion that you're sitting on and say, that very cushion is made from Hearthhomian linens brought by Heisick, and it is stuffed with the feathers of geese from beyond Hearthhome, also brought by Heisick. These wonderful cushions and goods, certainly not necessary for life, but do improve our wealth and our people.
We had the wealth. These goods were purchased with Necrotian copper and silver.
My dear lord, wealth comes in many forms. It is not simply metals that are wealth. That pillow is wealth. What is money? What is coinage but a means to an end? The coins in themselves are worth nothing, but the goods that you trade them for have value. Her breakfast is brought before her. Tea is brought for you, and as are some deviled eggs, which appear to be like a side dish that she was going to eat, but they're placed before you as a snack.
All right. I think that's fine. Unless she has anything more substantial to add, we will exchange pleasantries, and eventually Devon will excuse himself.
Yeah, she just kind of pushes a more cautious tone of he's a useful person, and he is the one who is bringing in these goods from far away, so maybe let's not kill him. Exile him, kick him out, find some punishment, but...
Yeah, I think Devon will say perhaps exile is appropriate. I don't know if it's warranted yet, but Devon just expresses concern that he's going to do something like this again, and strongly implies that he's going to get himself killed if he does something like this again.
Yeah. She hears that, and she
so
acknowledges
maybe,
your right to murder him.
I think the implication is like if it's actually a concern that maybe she should pass word through the grapevine to Isaac to tread lightly. Which will probably just piss him off even more. I don't know. Devon doesn't particularly care.
Okay.
And so Devon's like assuaged his guilt. It's like, okay, he's in the right. If this guy crosses a line again, he's sealed his fate.
Yes.
And it sounds like he's within his legal and his moral rights to. Okay. This was actually cleaner than Devon would have thought. He was preparing a pilgrimage to visit Kronos and see what his take on the situation would be.
Oh, well.
maybe that's not even necessary.
On your way out, Ulra will ask you to halt for a moment before she whispers something in the ears of one of her servants. And the servants will bring a box for you, a sort of a long box made out of very thin wood. It would have been easy to smash with your own hands. And inside it is filled with fabrics, carpets, scarves, loose jackets, all sorts of goods that you recognize are not made with the goat's wool that you have here in Necrot, not made with the things that you would find. These are all foreign produced goods.
Is this presented as a gift?
It is.
Devon feels them, that these fabrics are fine. But I think I know where they came from, he says, giving a pointed look to the judge.
Many goods in this house are furnished from far away.
Are these were these goods brought by Isaac and his men?
To town, but not given to me by him directly. Bought with the money I have made.
I appreciate your gesture, but given the source, I think for now I cannot accept such things. But Devon, he's got 16 int. He inspects them very carefully. He gives a focused look at them. And he's got he wasn't a weaver or anything, but he was a shepherd, so he's seen some sign of the some side of the textiles industry. So
there's one piece in particular that stands out to you more than any of these others. It is a loose cloak, or a half cloak that you would put over your shoulders and comes just halfway down your back to keep the rain off of you. And there's not a lot of rain here in the Red Hills, but the clasp that's used to close this cloak is gorgeous. It's got this gold and bronze mixture of a bat, sort of with its wings out, that holds it together, and that clasp itself is worth more than the rest of the goods in this box.
Anyways, Devon was studying it with the intent to be able to fabricate it or replicate such things in the future of his own accord. Perhaps here. Devon will weave with the elements: storm, earth, fire, and shadows. I do not need Isaac's silks. Anyways, he politely declines the gift. He thanks her for her gesture, but I think that she understands that he cannot accept it at this time.
Yeah,
given the nature of the conversation we just had.
The box is taken away, and you can leave. And I think this is a good spot to take our first break as Devon heads out after having spoken with some folks. And we'll see you on the other side with some more Dicing with Death.
Bye-bye.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death. Devon has left Ulra's house and heads out into the rest of Necrot. A wonderful, growing city at this point in time.
Devon will pass through the livestock agora on his way back into town, or back to the river.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking back fondly to his old life. Simple life of a shepherd.
Yes, there are carts being pulled by goats all over the place. You can hear the distant pounding of the hammer from across the hill, across the valley, where, it sort of echoes out all the way. There are people here trading chickens and goats and some sheep. There's even a couple of steers that have been brought in for slaughter. What do you call them? Like dovecots, filled with birds for all sorts of purposes. Some freshly caught fish that have been hauled painstakingly up the hill, still in salt water, ready for consumption.
Salt? We're several days from the ocean.
Yes, very painstakingly brought all the way from the island, the towns on the coast. There's a great deal happening here at the livestock agroa, which I will.
Are any other camels for sale?
No. Not a camel to be seen.
I'm not interested. Is the smithy across the valley?
Yes.
Is that Heifer's smithy or is that another smithy?
That is Heifer.
Okay.
Would you like to visit Heifer?
I probably should, but I don't have any excuse to right now.
That's fine.
I'm probably okay. I guess I go back to my tower and continue with the wizarding.
Ah, splendid. No murder to be done today. You return to your home. Most definitely not a murder hobo.
No, I've got a home.
And you're not killing people. It's the least murder hobo you could ever be. It's amazing.
So, I guess, so we do want to, Devon sees the cockatrice pit, and I think immediately we'll use a fabricate spell to start enclosing it.
With a tower over the top? Is this a second tower, or is this like an extension that comes off of your tower?
A little of both. So you drew Devon's tower as like a proper keep, but it was constructed initially via like extruding chunks of the elemental plane of Earth, and then like fabricating on top of that. So I'm imagining it more as like unnatural, supernatural, like spires of rock, of exotic rocks.
Yes, I think that is more accurate.
I just drew
something.
It will be
symbols.
an offshoot of the main tower. So I think it's going to wind up. I'm thinking Devon's tower may wind up being like a collection, an aggregate of several spires. In one, like right now, there's kind of the main tower, but it's pretty irregular and jagged. This will probably be another structure, like attached, but adjacent to the other one.
So when you say it's like a collection of spires, are each of these spires coming off of the ground, or?
Most of them. Some of them may jut out midway up, but.
So that would mean each individual tower, how do you get from one to the other? Are there bridges between them, or do you go all the way down and then up another?
Or like internal, there may be passages that connect them. I think it will be quite irregular.
Okay.
We're not there yet. These are just visions of the future. I don't know.
Okay.
I wanted to read Fabricate quickly because the mineral line still confuses me. So if I wanted to fabricate something out of like clay or like mud brick, is that considered a mineral? Or if like the finished product is the same material as...
I don't think clay or mud brick would be considered a mineral.
Like it's kind of like it definitely is a mineral, but I feel like what is their intention with that whole mineral bit?
I think they're trying to say if you're making it out of like a really sturdy substance, maybe more like, hold on, let me read it.
The quality there, it's commensurate with the quality of the material used. And the next sentence, if the caster works with a mineral, the area of effect is reduced. Is that because it's hard? Is this like if you're working with stone, you can work much less? Or is this like...
Yeah. I
Or
think
is
that's what
this
they're
like-
saying, is that if you're making things that are like really high quality or really fucking sturdy, that you make a lot less. So you can make like a really big thing out of a sort of a shitty material, or you can make a smaller thing out of a really strong material. So you could like build a big palisade wall, but only a small stone wall.
Okay, so it's not like
Right?
having it's not like converting iron ore into an iron sword that's reducing the efficiency. It's the
I think it's the...
like, are they saying mineral is low quality, or are they saying mineral is high? I don't know.
wooden bridge from these things, blah, 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 blah. All right, if we take the charades animal, mineral, or vegetable, they're talking about non-living matter is more difficult to work with than matter that was once living. Like hemp, flax, wool, wood.
Petroleum.
Sure. But petroleum is, you know, no more once living than the calcium on the shell of a creature. I wouldn't say clam calcium. I would call clam calcium mineral. I would call petroleum mineral in this case. But I see your point, Mr. Bogman, Mr. You know, pressure in the earth.
Well, plain calcium is a mineral, and petroleum is definitely not. Okay, so in this case, we're not considering clay a mineral, even if it is more or less.
Yeah, I think we're dividing into once
It's more
living
like-
and non-living matter.
So this is more like the difficulty of the material. So if I wanted to like carve granite stones and stack them into a tower, I could only do 9 cubic feet per casting.
Mhm.
Actually, I'm level 11 now. 11 cubic feet per casting. But if I build like a clay structure over the cockatrice pit, I can do 11 cubic yards,
Yes.
which is how big of a structure can you make with 11 cubic yards?
11 cubic yards is a lot of yards.
Yeah, especially if it's just walls, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 1 cubic yard. That's a 3 by 3 by 3 cube. But if I like say slice that up, even 1 yard thick is enormous. 1 foot thick. So if I say take 1 foot, it's 0.33 times a yard times a yard. Yeah, it's 0.33. Trying to think like how much material a wall that's even a foot thick is pretty enormous, but a foot thick.
But you'll want your walls made out of stone to be far more than a
10
foot
by
thick.
10 or say 3 by 3. So a 3 by 3 wall that's a foot thick is about 3 cubic yards.
Mm-hmm.
So I can make like 1, 2, 3 of those.
No, wait, a wall that's 3 by 3 and 1 foot thick is not. That is 1/3 of a cubic yard.
Not 3 feet, 3 yards.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
3 by 3 by 1 foot. Right.
Right, 9 by 9 by 1 is 3
I feel like
cubic
this math
yard.
is uninteresting, but I can make like a 1-story structure over the top of the cockatrice pit out of mud with 1 casting of a spell.
Yeah.
Not
That's
mud, like I convert the mud into like a mud brick adobe type material.
Right, just like you take wool and you turn it into flax, you take mud and you turn it into mud brick, and you form like is it a mud brick dome, or is it more like a crisscrossed flat grate?
It is a mud brick. It's probably like a hemisphere that abuts the side of the tower. Does fabricate have to be something that you could make into a product? Like it doesn't need to be something that physically could be made, right?
It must be
have, like, the bit-
internally stable, because it's not going to be magical once the fabricate
Let's see,
spell
articles
finishes.
requiring a high degree of craftsmanship, jewelry, swords. Crystal can be fabricated unless the wizard has a great skill in the appropriate craft. I'm wondering, like, say you could you like convert marble into a sheet of marble bigger than the individual components? Or like, could you carve something that, yeah, I don't know, like, could you fabricate something that would be physically impossible to build by like refabricating it from the constituent components? Like, do I need to make it into bricks and stack the bricks, or can I just like convert the mud into this crazy dome of mud that's impossible, that would be impossible to build by conventional means?
I don't think it would be impossible to build by conventional means, but yeah,
you'd have to make like a weird like mold.
You'd make a mold and fill it and then let it dry and then pull the mold back, but you can do it all in one go. Totally. Because otherwise, like if you're making flax from wool or like rope from hemp, like you can't just turn hemp into rope. You need structures and materials and, you know, long things that you twist the rope around and then bend and wind and cranks and shafts and pulleys. Like, yeah, you can totally make just a mud hemisphere. And it's solid all the way through, right? There's no like cracks to the outside. There's no airflow going back and forth. There's no like observation areas. It's a proper full dome to fully enclose the cockatrice.
Yeah, I think we'll make a door from the inside of the tower or something. Or maybe from underneath. I don't know. For now, it seemed unsafe. And I'm also this will be excavated from right next to the pit. Well, not right next to it, but adjacent. So begin like tunneling down a basement eventually, if that makes it to like a tower. Yeah. So converting a pit of mud into a dome of mud covering the cockatrice pit. Safety first. All right, so that takes 11 minutes, and then and then on with the rest of the day. In the tower, let's retcon this a little bit, and I'm going to start injecting some lore of Devon's training. So while he was, actually, I guess I already used my ESP, so never mind. I'll do this another day.
Great.
Never mind. Retcon, unretconned.
I have updated the text of Fabricate, and I'll update it on your spell sheet to make it more clear the difference between what's in cubic yards and what's in cubic feet. Because this is not the first time this question has come up.
Yeah. Are we about to get into an argument over what's a mineral again?
I redefined it as anything that is now living or once living is in cubic yards per level, and anything that has never been living is in cubic feet per level. So stone, mud, metal is in cubic feet. Wool, wood, etc.
We just did mud, so mud would be in cubic feet.
Yes. I thought we just said that mud would be in cubic feet. Did I?
Then miss? I can't do what I just did. If mud is then I can only make 11 cubic feet, which is not very much. That's like a amount.
No, a human is 2.5 cubic feet of water for a full human. So if you have 11 cubic feet,
a wall of mud brick is like, that's one casting of the spell. I thought we were just saying mud you can do at the full cubic yards. So you can't make a mud house in one casting of the spell. A mud house is even a mud dome. I mean, I guess if we make it like 6 inches thick instead of a foot thick.
Yeah,
like
it would just, the thickness of it would be what would change. And you could do a 4-inch thick mud brick. That's thicker than most bricks.
And that's standard brick, I think.
I mean,
but like Adobe bricks are usually like a full, like a foot, I think. I thought we just said it was because of the hardness or like the difficulty of the material to work with, not the
yeah, but I was including that as a
because it seems like I should make this like making structures. Yeah, I'd rather have it out of mud, I think, but I don't know. I'm not gonna argue now necessarily, but I mean, I'm trying to get into the mind of these coked out D&D writers and figure out why they were putting that limitation,
right,
and what it was based on, whether it's based on like the difficulty of the material to work with, whether it's based on like the efficiency that you need to like refine a mineral to get it to be a metal.
And I'm trying to make it match.
Metal is not a mineral. Like if you had like steel ingots, I think you could turn that into 1 cubic yard of steel structure per level.
I think I wouldn't read it that way.
I'm reading a mineral. I mean, I don't
right,
think
you're reading mineral and you're thinking scientific definition of mineral. I think this is more of like charades, animal, vegetable, or mineral, which is like the three categories that you break all things down to when you
animal,
play charade.
Vegetable, or mineral? Okay.
Yeah, I know, it's dumb, but I think that's what the reading is to me, because otherwise you're saying this one very, very tiny subset of things can only be done this way, but like metals you can do in cubic yards, and, you know... I think the word mineral here is a layman's term for mineral, not
like the layman term for mineral, though.
Animal, vegetable, and mineral. You know, like natural shit that you find out there. It's not well defined. I don't necessarily agree with that phrasing. I think it's bad wording because anyone who's like, well, the clear definition of mineral is X, Y, and Z would have problems. But there's no way that you can... you know, make a cubic yard of metal, but you could only do a cubic foot of...
Okay. I guess the third definition in the dictionary and dictionary.com or whatever is loosely any substance that is neither animal nor vegetable.
Yeah, so and I think that's the coked out version that they're going with.
Okay. I still feel like I could fabricate petroleum. Although I guess, do I need a high... Well, that's... I don't know. A high level of craftsmanship.
It's fine. There's no petroleum in anywhere in Arcadia, so it's a moot point. Actually, that's not true. There are little bits of pitch here and there, but they're not well refined enough to... Fuck, you could probably... I'm gonna leave it in the mineral category, which stacks really nicely with the way that the ethereal plane works, where it divides things between matter that was once living and matter that was never living.
I guess you can just come up with your own chemistry in this world or something, and there's 3 classes of matter: animal, vegetable, and mineral. I
have 2 classes. I have now or once upon a time living matter and matter that has never been living.
Well,
and those are my 2.
Once living, right? Or
nope, because it wasn't. It was naturally created by the gods. It does not derive from heat and pressure and time. It is the world's not old enough to have developed petroleum via natural means. I feel like I should
make this, build my house out of flesh to get the most use of fabricate.
Maybe bone. That bone would work. Yeah, you need a lot of bones though. It's probably easier just to spend an extra couple rounds casting the spell again.
House. All right. This is not Malcifer. We're not building a house of bone. Throne of bone. We're just putting a clay dome over the cockatrice pit.
Mm-hmm. It takes a couple of castings, or it takes one casting, and the thickness is not magnificent.
We'll improve it. We'll have a magnificently thick cockatrice pit. You can gain mana pretty fast if you spend the day studying.
Mm-hmm. You get 4 of your wisdom dice, and you pick the top 2. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So.
Mm-hmm.
I need more fabricate. We are going to assemble a portal in the basement. I think in the tower. Is it dangerous to make portals in your basement, or do you do that stuff?
I think it's more dangerous to make them elsewhere where someone else could come across them.
Yeah. Okay.
You gotta think about public safety.
Does my tower already have a basement, or do we? Yeah, we've talked about the catacombs. So we're Devon will be setting up a portal in the catacombs somewhere beneath it. Catacombs implies a graveyard. These are like naturally occurring, well, and then maybe burrowed out by a serpent. But what would the like natural underwater river cavern be called?
There is a term for that. It's called subterranean river, but there's another term, right?
I don't know. Is there already access from within the tower?
Yes.
Somewhere?
Yes, there is access down into these caverns underground, and there is a small tunnel that has been carved from these caverns over through to the Quanot if you need to go over there as well.
So is this
that is barred with 2 sets of heavy wooden doors on either end so that no one can sneak into the castle, into the tower.
Okay, so like from the first floor of the tower was the library, or the first floor was like it was like a courtyard, like a big open air thing, like a Greek, like with columns, and I forget the name of that sort of atrium type thing.
Yeah.
And then the library is a floor up.
I believe the library was the second floor.
Eventually the library is going to be okay. So from that courtyard, there's like a wooden door to a staircase that goes up and down. Is there only one staircase? Do we have multiple staircases yet?
That's a great question. I think this goes back to the question about how many towers you had. You mentioned that they're like multiple jutting spires out of the ground.
Eventually. Right now there's just the ground floor is like a big open atrium. Okay. And then I think there's just the one spire of rock rising up top that.
Okay.
And I think the atrium is like beautifully fabricated marble. And maybe some like stone structures around that, and then like naturally growing out of the top of that is the spire of elemental earth and gemstones. And
so we've got like a straight tower and then like a pointed spire.
It's like the ground floor is like a big square atrium with like columns and like an open air thing, and then there's like a staircase up of that's like made of natural rock. And so it's just kind of like natural rock growing out of this fabricated marble ground floor. Although maybe it's not marble, it's probably a lot of elemental rock and stuff.
And it's irregular and sort of twisting, and
the tower is, yeah.
Okay. Does it come to a point, or does it come to like a flat top?
I think it came to a point eventually. Like the top wasn't, I guess we could build a flat top like that. But initially it was just like pulled forth from an elemental portal and fabricated on top of that. And then there was like probably the third floor was that crazy gemstone floor with like a view out. Remember there were there were all the semi-precious stones jotting the walls and probably the exterior as well. I think defining it too much takes away a little bit of the magic. Obviously, you need to know some things. Yeah. So there's one staircase that goes up, and then I guess my question was, what's going down?
I think there will be a singular staircase heading down as well.
Is it the same staircase, or is it something separate?
If the bottom is square, then it's probably... No. I think you would come down the staircase into the main chamber, and there is a separate staircase somewhere else, maybe even behind a wall or a door or just on a far side that would lead downward.
Okay, so there's like this nondescript locked door that leads to the subterranean river.
Yeah.
And we probably need to put more protections. There was like Ron hasn't been here in a long time. There were the creepy masks that he can use to spy on. Mark of recall. Sorry, not mark of recall. Watchful ward.
Yeah.
Minor sealing ward. What did that do? Damage. Do you have seal? I don't remember what I sealed with a sealing ward, but I don't think it was much. Anyways. Is it possible to do a password on this? No, this is like a scrap of paper.
Sealing ward. This is the ward you put over something, and if the ward rips itself, it's a trap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dispelled.
There's no way to like have a password though, right? It's like dispelled at will.
Yeah, so I think you can, dispel the ward just by touching it, and like you can peel it off or rip it up without any problems. And then you just have to recast it a second when you wanted to.
I feel like I should probably put some ceiling wards over the door to the catacombs eventually, but for now, this is fine.
Mm-hmm.
And down in the Quanat, Devon will take some chalk and start planning out his portal. Specifically designing the lighting for this room. He's going to set up a portal. I don't think the nature of the portal needs to be that specific, but it will need to be illuminated in a very particular way. Probably with a torch from the center of the room, such that the shadows from the torch are cast in a auspicious manner on the stone archway itself.
See,
allowing Devon to tear a portal into the shadow plane.
That's what we're doing. I was wondering where this portal was going to go. Okay. You can begin to create this area. The space is already here for you. It's just a matter of refining it.
Yeah, I'll be spending some time thinking through the lighting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I probably need to tomorrow fabricate an archway. Because I don't think I have enough mana today. Well, I should roll to recover. So I had a restful night. I did not study. So I think that's 2d 13 d1.
Yes, if you was restful without spending the day in study.
Yeah, that doesn't really help much. Right, because I had 25 and I spend that on a fabricate, so I got 7 left. Spend the day experimenting with lights to figure out how to cast the optimal shadow. I think the wording of Dimensional Tear, I only need to spend 1 turn in preparation. However, preparing the portal itself is going to take more than that, because I need to actually make a portal of some kind.
Right.
And then I'm going to need, once I open up the shadow plane, I'm going to need to have another fabricate handy to work the shadows.
You're gonna work the shadows with fabricate?
Yeah, those won't be super important until I'm ready to enchant items, but maybe I'll need to go in there and find some shadow metal or something. I guess we'll explore the shadow plane when we open it up. I don't want to go too deep, but I do need some shadow metal for a shadow blade.
For what? What are you going to use the shadow blade for?
Isn't it self-evident? I'm going to make a shadow snap dagger.
Ooh, nice.
So basically a wand of shadow snap.
Nice. Not to flee from your enemies.
The shadow blade help you
or ambush them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we spend the day preparing that. What else is there to do? What else are we working on? It's probably good. I think I'm ready to skip day or days. If you don't have more to add.
I don't have more to add. I'm just making copious notes and drawing the tower out so I don't forget in the future days. So all is well and all can be done. You can go to rest. The town is happy and safe. You are here. Heisek is here. Your assistants are taking care of all the duties. The judges are taking care of their things. Your family is around, but who has time for these goat herders anymore?
Okay. The following morning, let's get a glimpse of Devon's daily monk-like rituals. So he will go to the case, go up to the library, to the case. That's maybe it's on a higher story sort of way. The case of elemental soul stones.
Yes, perhaps on the gemstone floor.
Yeah, which, so there's probably a weird little alcove with this wooden box. and it's not particularly well protected, other than like to get to this floor you've got to go past the librarian, who
It sounds
been
so
given
innocent.
vague instructions, but he would probably set a trespasser on fire if they tried to go to the third floor. Like anyone who's not Devon or one of his apprentices is probably going to have a really uncomfortable conversation with a Yugoloth to get to the third floor.
Yeah.
So should be safe up here. And then what's anyone going to do with an elemental soulstone anyways? They're very labor intensive to make, but I don't think I'm particularly concerned with someone sneaking in and stealing them. We'll build better protections as we go. So looking at them, which one do we want to start with? I guess we'll take water for now, just because that's more fun with the water breathing amulet. And but eventually Devon will be rotating through these stones, and so taking the soul gem, Devon goes down to the quanot, taking the water elemental, so the aquamarine, and holding it. Devon submerges himself in the waters of the quanot and goes through some sort of like a meditative, I don't know, like a Tai Chi type exercise. Although he can breathe underwater with his amulet, so he can go totally submerged in the water. He probably does as much as possible. Maybe lays down there and activates the Sorona to activate the ESP, and attempts to commune with the mind of the elemental trapped in the gem. And I'm assuming, I guess it's ESP, so he can kind of read the thoughts even if no language is attached.
Yes, because it's thought reading, not language reading, and thoughts are not always in language form.
Yeah. So Devon spends this 11 minutes meditating on what it is like to be elemental water, as he goes through his Tai Chi in the river, breathing the water, thinking the water, being the water. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to this.
I think you're describing it very well, and I was content to just let you run. That's fine.
And so Devon will do this daily, probably with different elementals. Obviously, when you're being earth and air, you don't necessarily need to go into the river and breathe the water, but
you connect with the elements, what it's like to flow easily but still like be clumped together as one moving mass, or like air, where you are sort of light and effervescent and can move quickly, but your substance is always sort of wrapped and twisted and pulled in different directions and like peeling off of you and coming back on. Or the sturdiness of earth that is just so firm, so solid. The hot, I think
depending on the element, like the practice is a little different. Maybe I need like a fly spell to fly as air, or like I don't know, feather fall or anything. But for now, I think so. The water is in the water, and like with the smoky quartz and the air elemental, Devon like climbs up to the top of the spire and just like hangs out there in the wind for 10 minutes, focusing on his balance. He does now have a tumbling proficiency in case he falls down, but teeters on there and becomes one with the wind. Earth for now. Maybe he descends into the depths of the catacombs and feels the earth. Punches the walls to harden his fists. I don't know. And if Asoy ever comes back, he will teach her these practices, but
Asoy is going to be gone for some time. We're working on the order of days. She'll be back in the order of weeks.
So Devon does this as he spends his days in study, regaining enough MP to do his fabrications and other practices. So 40, 13, D2, 24. So the next day he can fabricate a stone archway in the basement to serve as a portal to the shadow plane. But then those are pretty good. And it's probably another 4 days before he has enough mana to actually open the portal and do his do what he wishes. We're also going to be, so part of the studying, I mean, it's preparing the portal. It will also be researching a scroll of remove curse is going to be a lot of the study. So like figuring out what to make that out of. So dispel magic, we made it from a silver tablets or whatever, and that was like the semi-exotic whatever. I'm not sure if curses are similar. Like what? Like
remove curse is a 4th level spell.
Yeah, so it might be slightly more complicated than dispel magic.
Okay. I think. So, I think when we can know. Hold.
Is this in Tome of Magic?
Spells and magic. Yes.
Spells and magic.
Process and materials. Ink for 1st to 3rd requires a rare ingredient. 4th to 6th requires an exotic ingredient for ink.
Okay.
Exotic materials can only be found through adventuring on part of the character. Silk woven from a phase spider, a faceted diamond never exposed to light, an archmage's bones, a lock of a goddess's hair, or steel smelted from a fallen star are all exotic materials. Intangible materials might include the tears of a heartbroken princess, the strength of the greatest king in the world, or the essence of a rose harvested by the light of a comet that returns once every 20 years.
Okay, so it seems so silver seems like an appropriate enough material for the paper.
But for the ink, you'll need something more exotic.
Yeah. I'm wondering. Let's see. So I think something cursed would be appropriate.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe like the blood of the demon or something like that, like a creature's cursed by the gods. Or if there's, or some other cursed creature. What else is cursed in this world? I mean, I think this is the research, so maybe I'll roll a check and you can tell me what what an appropriately cursed ink would be.
What check are you rolling?
Some kind of research check.
Okay.
You tell me. Isn't there usually like a spell, probably a spell research kind of thing, or?
Yeah, there's an overall success or failure. There's no research required for scrolls of protection.
You need to know the spell, though.
Yeah, if a scroll has no known spell equivalent, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so you can just write your scrolls if you know the scroll. Materials... Base chance of success to create a scroll is 80% plus 1% per character level, or minus 1 per spell level. So you're level 11, so you have a 91% chance of success, minus 4, so 87. So if you make me an 87%, then you will...
But I need the rare ink, right?
So,
and it's supposed to be specific, right? Sorry, go ahead.
So why don't you come up with what you think is an appropriate ingredient? We'll go through the process, then we'll roll the check. And if the check passes, then it is an appropriate ingredient. And if the check fails, then your ink was off in some way, shape, or form.
Okay. I think, like... So I was planning on etching in silver.
Mm-hmm.
But I think using some sort of cursed creature in the process, either...
To like fill in the etchings,
or like maybe to quench the molten silver or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to. Cockatrices are they cursed?
No, not really. They were created by Medusa.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I'm thinking that I need like the blood of a cursed creature. Unless something else comes to me. So
men can be cursed by lycanthropy if they've been bitten by a werewolf, but those are hard to find.
Yeah.
Let's see. Some types of undead are cursed by the gods. Some are, constructed by necromancers, and some are like the gods have cursed them to wander the earth forever in suffering.
Yeah.
Let's see.
There is that weird cursed village outside of town. I don't know what I could find there that's appropriately... I think would be an appropriate ingredient.
That place is haunted by the souls of the dead.
Yeah.
And there's always Atropos. I don't know if she's actually cursed, but she's, colloquially cursed.
She dishes out the curses.
Mm-hmm. Are you cursed? You served her for a long time.
I don't think so.
Okay.
So we'll earmark this until I can find the appropriately cursed material, but that's what he's been studying and researching. Yeah. Does anything else come up, or shall we skip a few days?
We can skip a few days. Roll me some more MP regains just to make sure.
I rolled all. That's where I came up with the 4 days.
Oh, perfect. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Your days pass. You learn the spells, you connect with the elements, you ponder the needs of the remove curse spell scrolls that you would like to make. And after the time has passed, Devon does what?
We're gonna open a portal to the Shadow Plane.
That should be easy enough.
Oh yeah. So I think he's shared what's going on with his apprentices.
Mm-hmm.
If they're interested in watching this ritual, they're welcome. Otherwise, they may want to stay
are
clear.
Absolutely. I guess both of your apprentices, the third one is away, will come down. One to jot down notes, one to observe and stand by ready with a large stick in case something comes through.
Yeah, I don't think that... I don't think the time of day will matter that much for shadows. Although dawn or twilight is probably extra appropriate.
Mm-hmm. But if you're already in the shadowy lair deep
right, if we're
within
already
the earth,
in a basement, and then in the center of the room, there's still probably like chalk markings on the floor where Devon was like mathing out how they get the shadows to cast just right.
Mm-hmm.
In the center of the room, there's like a sconce. I don't know. There's like a wooden like pedestal with a torch sitting on top of it. What do you call that? It's like
a brazier.
Yeah, I guess a braziers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some braziers in the center of the room, and then next to that is a tiki torch. And the braziers shed interesting shadows on the wall. And then like perpendicular to the flame is this archway. So the archway is like facing sideways, if that makes sense. So like where the portal will be formed is not illuminated. It's just like it's like in a nook against a wall. So it's like this big cavern, and then like up against in the center of the cavern is this torch shedding flickering light, and then there's this perpendicular to that is like a fabricated archway in like a weird nook on the side. So it's kind of like an oddly positioned portal, but it's in the shadows. And this takes about 10 minutes or so to like set up the torch, light it, let the light flicker, and then Devon approaches this stone archway that he's fabricated and doesn't actually doesn't describe exactly what he does, but he approaches the stone archway and then like gestures with his hand, speaking magic words, and I think like splits the shadows down the middle and tears a temporary portal into the shadow. Oh wait, hold on. Before we do that, I just in case there is a scrap of iron, a shard of iron down here with us. I don't know how the shadow plane works, but we brought our own raw materials.
Excellent.
In case we need it. Yeah. Okay. So should have thought to mention that beforehand. It was in the back of my head. I just forgot to.
Yeah. You've got a torch that is casting shadows, and when we say the archway is perpendicular, we mean you're facing the archway on its side so that you don't get direct light on it. Instead, you sort of maybe get some shadows that come down both sides of it.
The torch is facing the archway on its side. Devon sort of comes around and faces the archway head on.
Right. Okay.
It's like I can doodle if you care, but
I understand. I just want to make sure it's clear for the people who are only half paying attention while they go about their homework or papers, their lab work.
So we do need to roll a D100 to determine how long it stays open. I don't know if I think typically this would be rolled in secret.
Yeah,
maybe?
It's a D100 right? plus 3.
Plus 2.
Plus 2, okay. Minimum value was 3.
Yes, and then if you roll a 99 or 100...
You might tear.
It will like permanent. It will be a permanent weakening. Not necessarily a permanent portal, but like, you know what I mean.
You're altering the fabric of the universe in that place.
Or like the plane boundaries don't recover as they normally would, and there's like a permanent weakening.
In this case, the portal will shift and twist before opening up.
And I think previously, so I don't get an exact reading on how long it's open, but there is an indication of how stable the portal is.
Yeah, you can see the edges are like nice and solid and firm right now. They're not like wavering or fluctuating or falling apart.
So I think you get like a few minute warning at least that the portal's closing. And Devon looks through and sees the shadow plane before him. What does
you see
like?
A darkened, shadowy area, very actually similar to the place you're in right now. It almost looks like the wall has just disappeared, leaving only the archway, and you're just like looking through to the rest of your already shadowy chamber. The only difference is that this torch that you have here sort of casts a yellowish light, and so when you look to your left or to your right, away from the torch, you can see sort of like a yellowish, grayish light cast on the walls. But when you look through the portal, there is no like moving, there's no intensity to the light, there's no like rising and falling, and there's no color to it. It's a very stable lighting situation that is just difficult to see and in grayscale, while here it's, brightening and dimming as the torch flickers, and it has a color to it.
Yeah. Devon, I guess, peers through, maybe pokes his head through the portal and looks around. Is it just the shadow image of his basement, of his cavern?
Yeah, it's your basement, but it's all just a little bit bland. I think your basement probably has like a series of archways and columns to support the floor above it, and each column is slightly different. We've mentioned that this is like being crafted from the raw materials of the earth, and
this isn't actually. I think this is a natural, semi-natural cavern, like the subterranean river or whatever next to the. So maybe there's even, I don't know. The river's like above us or something. This was like an old subterranean river built in the hill beneath the Quanat. Some of this has been like carved out by Platos's movement. But I don't think Devon fabricated this. This is like
Okay.
a semi-natural.
That makes my point even better, because the natural cave has all sorts of variation in it, and areas that stick out and areas that fall in, and different colors of rock here and there. While as you look through on the shadow plane, everything, the walls of the cave are irregular, but there's no strong changes, right? There's no like really deep crevasses or pikes that come out, and whatever natural columns that might exist here are very sort of smooth and a little bit bumpy on the bottom and bland. It looks like looks like the Disney World version of your cave, sort of cave-like, but not exactly like a natural occurring thing, sort of a poor man's knockoff of the real world.
So Devon is going to take this shard of iron, so he'll back out to the material plane, take the shard of iron and like toss it on the far side of the portal on the ground, and then like circle through and like try and find it through the portal, if that makes sense. Is there a shadow of this iron scrap in the shadow plane? What do material objects do into the shadow
when you
plane?
threw the shard of iron?
I don't throw it through the portal.
Okay, you put it behind the portal.
Yeah.
And you gaze through, and you do not see it. It does not show on the floor. It is not there.
So there is no shadow of material objects.
At least there's no shadow of this material object at this time. Yes.
What if I bring the iron through the portal, or throw the iron through the portal?
It tumbles through the portal and lands on the ground, silver colored.
In the shadow plane?
In the shadow plane, and does not exist on the material plane.
Then I guess we're gonna cast our fabricate spell. Let me know if the portal starts twitching and becoming unstable. But
I will.
Devon casts fabricate, and we're gonna look around and see what is available in the shadow plane to fabricate with. I've got 11 rounds. A blade is less than a cubic foot.
Absolutely.
The scrap iron into it. Now I don't necessarily have the skill to create a well-crafted sword, so it will kind of be a crude shard of a blade, irregular and jagged, but suitable, and perhaps I will have Heifer fine-tune it. So first round or whatever, I will fabricate that scrap of iron on the shadow plane into a crude blade, and then I will spend further duration of the spell attempting to fabricate from the material of the shadow plane itself. Pulling chunks of the walls, or I don't know, like feeling around with the magic of my fabricate for material to craft with. I don't know if I can craft from the very shadows itself. You tell me what I'm able to find and what I'm able to shape.
Yes,
and
you can't craft the shadows because shadows are not real. They're not a thing. The shadow is more of just a concept of the impression that real things make. It's not actually a substance that can be moved. It's more of an absence. However,
there are walls in the shadow plane, right? Like the walls of the cave are there?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. You can grab the walls of the cave or the floor of the cave or even one of these columns within the cave and twist and turn that material into your own.
Okay. I just get a small piece to make a blade of that as well. Crude. And I guess it's shadow rock. It's not metal would have been better, but I don't think there's any metal down here, right?
Not that you can see. You haven't really walked through the plane, right? You've only thrown your...
I think I probably needed to step through it, unless I can fabricate through from the outside of the portal. Is that possible? Like, how does distance work? Do I need to be on the same plane?
I think you need to be on the same plane to affect it. I don't think you can cast through the portal.
Stepped through the portal.
Excellent. When you look around on the inside, you can see that this place is much like your original realm. The torch is not there, of course. Your companions, your apprentices are not here. It's like you've visited this place on a cool, dark night where a light spell is fading in front of you. The chunk of metal that you've thrown is here on the ground, and there's a thumbing sound, like a weird vibration coming audibly from like up the staircase now that you're on the other side of the plane. It's not what you're here for, though.
But I'll ignore it for now and take 10 minutes to do my fabricating.
Sure.
So the first minute is picking up the shard of iron on the ground. Does it feel like a regular chunk of iron?
Yes, it does. And
I reshape it into a blade over the course of the minute, and
it feels fine.
But it's like it looks just like a shard, like an iron blade.
Yeah. Aside from the weird lighting conditions, it looks and feels just like a normal iron blade. Yeah.
And then I fabricate a blade-like shard of shadow stone from like the walls of the cavern. And then that takes another minute, and then I start wandering around the cavern looking for a more suitable material. If I can find like an actual like metal ore deposit, that would be better. I don't know if that's probably not going to exist here. I mean, the Red Hills are rich in copper. It's possible.
It's possible.
I'll wander around and look. Does the portal look stable as I'm doing this?
It does. And you did roll a natural 20 on your discovery die.
But I do find like a copper vein somewhere, or like a... Can I see through the walls? Or
no, the walls are solid. They're solid, like they're real. You can put your hand against them and they feel solid, and they do not permit vision through them. I mean, it's maybe while you're feeling one of these walls that you feel rather than see the like metallic hardness underneath your hand. There's no real source of light to reflect back at you to make that like metallic reflection.
It doesn't need to be, like, I can fabricate for like, perhaps it's like a copper or an iron rich mineral that I can like refine. Like, I don't need a blast furnace to smelt iron.
Certainly, but without color and without an actual source of light, you can't tell what metal this is. You can feel the texture. No, you don't need to know, but I'm just letting you know it's on the plane of shadows where there's no color whatsoever. You can just see like stone and metal look the same from a distance because there's no like light source to reflect back at you. There's just sort of like an omnipresent vision.
And I think this is probably what I got my experiments, but I think this is the winner here. So I'll fabricate that. Like, pull the iron ore from the wall and magically smelt it, purify it, and make it into a crude blade. So now I have these 3 blade-like objects. Is the thumbing getting louder?
No. It's maintaining its same sort of...
If the portal looks stable, and I think I have
super
a few
stable.
Minutes,
yeah,
I'm gonna go investigate the thumbing.
Yeah. You head up the stairs, and they are much like the stairs in your place. They go back up towards a doorway that's sort of nondescript that blocks the staircase off. You know, on the other side is the big courtyard, but you haven't opened the door yet.
Sure, I open the door.
Yeah, and when you do, the sound definitely picks up in volume. You're in the courtyard. There's nothing here. There's no boxes. There's no merchants. There's no people coming to do trading or paying homage or visits. But the sound, it sounds more... you can pull out the differences in the tone. It's not something mechanical that's making the same noise over and over again. It's more like a humming of a creature, more like a voice that is echoing down from up the staircase, from somewhere up
Upstairs.
the tower.
It's in the tower. It's in my tower. Yeah. I will ascend. There's only a few floors above, so I will go up the staircase. I guess like from the stairs, I like go through the courtyard across the atrium to the staircase to the tower proper.
You climb the steps up into the library.
I'm like cautiously moving in like a combat pace.
You'll get to the library and you'll gaze through it, and you'll notice all the books are the exact same, or all the scrolls are the exact same rolled parchment, one after the other after another. You haven't walked in to examine anything, and the lighting is dim, so it's hard to read anything from this distance, but they look like, copy-paste versions of the same thing over and over again. The tables in the room are the same table over and over again. It's the same shelves over and over again. Infravision doesn't seem to be working here. Not on the shadow plane.
Where does the humming sound like it's coming from?
Up the stairs further.
Further? Up to the gemstone room?
Mm-hmm.
I will ascend cautiously, listening as I go for this, to see if the sound is, not just me getting closer, but if whatever its source is moving towards me.
You are moving cautiously and quietly. Would you please give me a dexterity check?
Sure. Not quite.
Almost.
I think
maybe
I'm
it's
too
your
focused.
Staff. Maybe that you're focused on your feet.
I don't have.
You don't have your staff with you?
I guess I have. If you say I have my staff, I'll have my elemental pike with me.
Yeah. You're watching your footsteps
and I've also
move quietly.
Got these 3 blades, awkwardly, probably just in an offhand, 3 stacked daggers, palmed.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to wield the staff. It maybe clanks on a step or two.
It knocks against the wall behind you when you're trying to make sure you're not making any sound, and the thumbing comes to a quick stop. It just quiets right away.
Hello? Devon calls up the stairs.
Hello? Calls a voice down the stairs.
What are you doing in my tower?
Your tower?
Devon, I guess, continues up the steps and steps into this room.
You see, standing before you, a horrified, slightly misshapen, acid-scarred version of what appears to be yourself. One arm is a little bit limp at the side. The face has been torn or burned or scarred by some sort of, melting flesh thing. But otherwise, the facial structure's there. The hair is in a different cut and the clothes are different, but the eyes are unmistakably your own. Who are you? How dare you enter my tower?
And he doesn't seem to recognize me.
There is give me a charisma check. How well can you read your own face?
Is this, am I making this charisma check?
You're making the charisma check, yeah. No, you recognize this figure, but this figure doesn't appear to recognize you, or if they do, they're holding back their recognition intentionally.
Mm-hmm. What happened to you?
I'll ask you again. Why are you in my tower? How did you get here?
This is my tower that I built my own hands. And he looks to the scarred hands. You said one of the arms was hanging limply.
Mm-hmm. I carved this from the bones of the earth. Do not tell me it is yours.
Awkward standoff. Is he armed? What was he doing in here? Looking around the room, is there remnants of a project or
the good hand has a staff in it very similar to your own, and this is a
unique staff.
Similar. It's not an identical copy of yours, but it's of a similar height. It looks more like the old fighting stick that you had before your elemental pike.
Previously I just had a wooden, just a quarterstaff.
This is a quarterstaff capped with copper, and looks to be twisted, made out of some sort of mineral or some sort of. It's hard in this plane to see what's going on, but it doesn't have wood grain next to it. Maybe it's metallic, maybe it's stone, and either end is capped with some sort of, probably a metal. Definitely not a carbon copy of your elemental pike, but it has elements of it and elements of your former staff. The eyes of this figure before you slowly soften at your claims as they echoed similar ones.
Do you know where we are? Which plane we're on?
Are you the demon that has come for me? I have fought your kind before. I have sent them running. Never has one taken a shape like this. Not since the first.
I am no demon. How long have you been down here?
Figure looks about. This has been my home for many years.
What do we see looking? So this room has windows that look out over the over Necrot.
It does.
Yeah. What do we see looking out the window? Is the figure aggressive? Cautious?
No, the figure is wary.
If I look out a window, though, it's not like he's waiting for an opportunity to pounce on me.
Yeah, you slowly turn to your head to the side, and they don't seem to be taking advantage of it. And as your head gets almost to the point, like as before your eyes switch over, you can see their head also looks out to the window in curiosity of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
You look out and you see just a few small huts. Some mud brick buildings, sort of squarish in nature with little squares coming off the sides of them. But it's really just like the one mud brick building repeating itself over and over again.
Are there any life forms out there?
No, there's no people. There's just structures kind of going up the one hillside that you can see. The person, the divan before you, looks at you and says, I'm not sure how long I've been here. Forever? Since the first one came? Since I first left?
What came? Where did you come from? What do you think your name is?
I am Devon. The Great Shepherd. Not be.
What? Are you a shadow of my future? My past?
Are these more lies? Is this another trick? Are you here to consume my soul? Why do you take the form that I once had? Why do you look like an older version of a younger me?
What happened to you? What did this to you? What did this to us?
This was... Figure is not entirely certain how to respond to you. Trusting that you are not the demon that is here to kill him, or maybe trying to bait out some reaction from you, the figure says, my first instructor brought me here, put me here piece by piece, inch by inch. Moment by moment.
Atropos?
There's a bit of a nod. The crack in her floor. The vapors I consumed me too. They pushed me here. How are you here?
I came here of my own accord. Made my own portal. Walked through. These are the shadows of my tower. You said...
The figure picks up one of the gemstones from the wall and, grabs another.
Gems in the wall?
Yeah, grabs another and holds them next to each other. And you can see they're the exact same gemstone. And they look at it and goes, I could have sworn I was collecting gems. And yet every time I hold them, they're the same. Every time I pick up a book, it's the same passage over and over.
You said they came?
They continue to.
What?
Demons.
Some creature?
Monsters from afar.
Where are they?
I slay them, and they vanish. I protect my tower and what is mine.
You keep doing that. Is there anything I can give you? Something you want?
I want to understand what this place is. This fresh hell. This old hell. I remember building this place. But why would I put the same things everywhere? Why are there no people in my town? Why do my books read the same passages?
This is but a shadow of Krob. Shadow of your tower.
Intrinsically, the character nods, like, that makes sense. But I mean, without vocalizing it.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot be a shadow. I am real. I have form.
It seems so. Devon takes a step back towards the staircase.
This figure takes a hurried step towards you. Don't leave yet. Is she still there? Is she still out there?
Yes.
Are you in contact with her?
Not in some time. She has a new apprentice.
What happened to you? What happened to me?
I've gone my own way. Perhaps grown beyond or learned beyond what she can teach. Devon backs down a step down the stairs and cranes his ear to see if he can hear the portal straining or anything beneath him. I fear my time may be running short. I can't risk getting stuck here.
Wait, don't go, the figure says, taking some hurried steps after you down the staircase. Her hunger. It's bottomless, it's never ending. It's eternally empty. Is this where I am? Is this the inside of her? I gave her what she wanted.
What did you give her?
Everything she wanted.
I think the conversation has been happening as Devon's walking down the stairs and Shadow Devon chasing after him, and then we probably get down to the stairs and he said, I gave her what she
everything.
wanted. Devon stops and turns around and says, what did you give her?
Everything she wanted. My magic, my heart, my soul, my flesh. She's never satisfied.
That can't be true. I didn't. I resisted.
Did you? How long were you with her?
A few years.
A few years?
I don't know. Time's a bit of a blur.
Your youth? The entirety of your youth?
I must go. And Devon makes for the door back to the basement.
The figure follows you across the courtyard to the door to the basement.
Do I have any way to divine what this thing is? Let's see, a detect magic might be helpful. Anyways, I'm going down to the basement. He's like chasing after me.
He's, hurrying after you, and then you pause and talk, and then scurry down the stairs, and he calls after you, and then scurries after.
In the basement, is the portal still open?
The portal is still open. Yes, it's still stable. It's very solid. Okay. The voice comes again. You, though, I can smell her on you. You have that look in your eyes, that hunger for more. How much of you have you taken in you? Do you know?
None. I haven't taken anything.
Did you wake up next to her without knowing how much time had passed? Did you wake by her side, not knowing what had happened to you?
I don't know.
Did you breathe in the vapors? Did you let her touch you?
Does he say anything when he sees the portal?
No, it's like he doesn't even recognize it. He's so focused on your eyes. He's staring like deeply, intently into you. You have her.
I cast a detect magic.
Yeah, it goes off without a hitch.
Pulling out some crystal dust, and like I just like toss it in his, basically at him to like detect if he's magical.
Yes, the dust settles all around the creature. The creature emits magic all around it. Its staff emits magic as well. The robes emit magic. There's something underneath the robes whose magic is being blocked by the robes, and you can't tell its strength or type, but there's something under the robes that's magic as well on one side. You have the look in your eyes, the same look that she had every time she...
Devon's like backing towards the portal.
Every time she asked of me.
What are you? Let me do some quick math on how much MP I have. So I did 84. It's a 4th level spell worth. The 5th level spell was 20. Do you know what a 4th level spell is? Is that 16?
I'm looking. Yeah, 18.
18.
Close.
84 minus 18 minus 25. I have 41 MP left. Plenty. I'm backing away when I realized. So the creature itself is magical, right?
Yes, there is an aura of magic about the creature.
What are you? And Devon is like, he's back into the portal.
The creature will attempt to grab your hand.
Is this before or after I'm through the portal?
Before. As you're moving towards the portal, they make one final dart towards you and try to touch you.
Let's do an initiative roll.
Okay.
I'm going to attempt to shadow snap, and we'll see what this does on the plane of shadow. The whole thing's in shadow, right? I don't even need a...
Ooh, will easily...
So I see him like thinking to grab me, and I like snap my fingers, and I guess we'll see what happens. I point towards the sky and or towards the ceiling. And does the target have a shadow on the plane of shadow? Maybe the target is a shadow.
There's no point source of light. Light is ubiquitous, and there are no shadows being cast in any direction. But this is sort of the plane of shadow.
I guess you decide. Is the creature itself a shadow? Does the shadow blade plunge into the creature itself? You tell me what happens, or if nothing happens.
I would like you to give me an intelligence check.
Before or after casting?
After casting.
Let's spellcraft. So if it were intelligence, that's a pass. If it's spellcraft, that's a fail. So
well,
maybe
you
the intelligence passes, but that's really bad. But spellcraft would fail. There's a -2 on that. For the spellcraft, or that's including the -2.
Right. We actually do want an intelligence check, not a spellcraft check in this situation. So the blade, the blade will sort of plummet onto the creature. You know, the area where the creature's shadow would be, which is, the way that you think of where the blade should go in your mind is sort of the direction that it goes. And one can conceive of like that spot there on the shadow, or the creature's shadow, or, there's a lot of ways to conceptualize it in the exact moment of casting.
Yeah. So it plunges, it strikes the ground, but it doesn't necessarily. And then Devon steps through the portal.
It strikes the foot of the creature before you and pins its foot to the ground, preventing it from reaching out to attack you, but it will spend its turn instead wrenching the blade from its foot with a cry and a yelp. And then you will pass through the portal as they are jerking the blade out of their foot.
But I can still see through the portal, right? It's not like right, the portal is is it continuous? Like you walk through the portal, or like it's...
Yeah, no, you walk through the portal and you are now on the other side. The creature, having pulled the blade from its foot, tosses it to the ground and looks around as if it can't see the portal or you, and calls out, "You, Phantom!
Can we hear it?
Where are you?"
Can we hear it through the portal?
Yes, you can.
I look to my apprentices.
They look very surprised to see you, and they hurry over. "Oh, what was it like over there? My lord, what is it? What have you?"
I've got these 3 shadowy blades, probably, but can they not hear the cries of this shadow creature?
Do you ask them? They've not. You have as much information as I've given you.
Yeah, like heart pounding. I said, "There's some creature, shadow monster. Can't you hear it?"
They come to the portal and look through.
And do I see Shadow Devon scrambling on the other side?
Yeah, he's looking around sort of frantically, like losing control of himself, looking for wherever you would be, shouting for you at the top of his lungs. But your 2 apprentices sort of look through the portal, and they're like gazing all around, looking for a creature, but not seeing one. My lord?
Just a second, we'll do math on 34. Right there. Can't you see him? Devon contemplates bringing the creature through.
One of them
seems like a bad idea. But anyway.
Cassandra turns to Moff and says, "Where did we put the remove curse scrolls? Are they made yet? Go fetch one, Asoy." And Asoy hurries upstairs, hoping that there is a remove curse scroll somewhere.
There aren't remove curse scrolls yet. Those were planned.
This is true. Yes.
There's no. Yeah, I haven't made any. Devon calls after them.
Oh,
There's dispel magic, but...
Master, you should close this portal immediately. Something's wrong with your mind.
It's not my mind. I'm gonna leave this up to chance. Tell me if a pass or a fail on a will. Should I roll and then you tell? Can I roll a willpower check and you tell me what I do? Do I bring the creature through the portal? Is that a good idea or a bad idea? I'm gonna roll the willpower check. And I pass.
Bad idea.
It's a bad idea. So I think Devon decides that it would be a bad idea to bring Shadow Devon to the prime material plane.
Right? That's probably a bad thing.
The presses is.
It'll be there later, right? You can always come back.
I want his magic stuff though, and his cursed blood, right? He's got cursed blood, doesn't he? Anyways, I pass the willpower check, and I'll go ahead and dispel the portal.
And the portal will fade. As you're casting the spell, you'll see the creature sort of like shake off what happened and look around and wonder to itself out loud, "How did I get down here?" And the portal will close.
Before the portal closes?
Yeah, as you're casting the spells and you're not really focused on the world around you as you're channeling dispel magic, you'll sort of in the back of your mind realize the creature is saying, why did I come down here? As he like shakes off the panic, searching for you, and the portal closes.
Do I have oh, that's a good point, Charles. Does Devon have a shadow anymore? Did he lose his shadow on the shadow plane? Was that his shadow?
You look to the ground here, and clearly there's shadow flickering off of you on the ground, right. Cast by the torch. But you'll also notice like a pretty severe cut on your foot through your sandals.
Ooh, bum bum bum. All right, wizard can always dispel his own magic, right? So I can dispel my own portal, no problems, unless I rolled that 99 or 100 and created a permanent instability. I think I can just close my own portal with the dispel magic.
The portal closes, and with the detect magic, you could find such an instability if you wanted to.
Yeah, seems like a good spot for a break.
Yeah, see you on the other side.
Right. Bye-bye.
3. Hello, we're live. Whoops, clicked the button a little too early. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dancing with Death.
Yo. So,
back through the portal, underground. Cassandra looks at you as Asoy comes running down the stairs, saying, "There's no scrolls ready."
No, I haven't made them yet. At least not on this plane. Devon shakes his head and goes to put out the torch, or like take the torch with them and resurface.
Mm-hmm.
Not Asoy.
Moth. Sorry.
Yeah.
They're all the same, you know.
I closed the portal with the spell magic.
Your apprentices will follow you upstairs.
You really didn't see or hear anything?
No, just you coming down the stairs and looking back over your shoulder and speaking
Down
to yourself.
Stairs. Oh, you were watching through the portal, you mean?
She nods.
Yes, I spoke with myself. Or a shadow of myself from some future reality, or maybe it was a demon.
They look concerned.
I don't think the shadow plane is a safe place to visit, but I got what I went for.
The daggers, you made them. I saw they look to what you hold in your hand. It's 3 blades.
Yeah. And we'll go to, I don't know, up to the daylight to inspect them.
Mm-hmm.
So describe the 3 blades to me. So the one that was made from material iron brought into the shadow plane.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like? Is that just like
it looks more like a
shard of iron?
Yeah, it looks like a sort of a crude blade made out of iron. You'd need to be a skilled blacksmith to make it like a really nice blade, but it looks more or less just like a regular blade of iron.
Okay.
At least at first sight.
What about the rock shard from Shadow Rock?
It looks like a piece of really gray, rocky granite that doesn't really reflect anything back at you, or doesn't really reflect any color. It's a little odd. There's usually some level of color in something, even if it's sort of grayish. If you like hold it up to the light, you'll notice it changes to be a little bit warmer in color. If you know, but this.
Okay, so I was gonna say I keep the metal one hidden from the light until I see what the light does to the rock, the shadow rock.
And it is a bit of a curiosity. It doesn't really absorb the colors of the light that hits it very well.
Okay. But it doesn't like melt in the sunlight or anything like that?
No.
Okay. And then we look at the shadow metal. Was it, do we know whether it was like copper or whether it was iron?
Well, you could do some like displacement tests to see its density and figure out what metal it is. But on the face of it, it looks maybe like iron. It's just sort of grayish metal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we inspect these. I mean, we got 3 wizards. We probably do some random tests on them before taking them to Heifer, I think, to finish. And
the first and easiest test is a detect magic spell, which will show that both of these things are radiating strong magic. Not the piece of metal that you threw in and then shaped, but the stone that's been shaped into a dagger and the shadow metal that was shaped into a dagger radiate strong magic.
Okay.
Content to just pass it off to Heifer and let him beat it into submission?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll take them all to Heifer.
Yeah. You'll bring them on over and he'll...
Has he plugging away. How does his smithy look? Has his forge grown? Has his
Only very slightly. His place is a little bit larger than it was before. The smithy itself is more or less the same size, but the house has grown and a couple extra buildings have been added on. And you will see a small toddler sort of like stumbling out of the house behind Heifer towards him when a woman comes and swoops up the kid in her arms and drags the kid back into the other place.
What does his wife look like?
His
Drop
wife
dead gorgeous.
Is a slender woman with long dark hair that comes to the back of her shoulders. Since you asked, yes, she is an above average attractiveness woman here. She doesn't look at all like her misshapen, heavy set husband, who's strong as an ox, but with a weird hunch. The kid has no hunch upon their back, and the woman is sort of tall, slender, long hair. You only caught a brief glimpse of her. You don't recognize her from town.
Okay.
Heifer looks at you, swipes the sweat from his brow, places the hammer at the anvil next to him, and reaches out a hand to you.
It's been
Your
you've had a busy
Grace?
couple of years.
Your Majesty, what do I refer to you as? Says Heifer.
Devon is fine.
Devon, he says, and you notice his tone has changed a little bit, and his language has grown less, direct, and he's developed somewhat over the years, and he's taking a bit of a softer stance in general. Welcome home, Devon.
Glad to see you've settled in. I'm sorry I haven't seen you. It's been I have a curiosity to ask for your help with, and I pull out this the shadow blade, the iron one. No sense in working stone.
He'll clear a section on one of these large wooden tables nearby for you to set the blade on, and he'll take a look at it. And at first he's like, okay, it's a thing. And his head cocks aside and his brow furrows, and he pokes at it a little bit with a big stubby finger. What is this? He pokes it again. What metal is this? I've not seen this before. Is this mithril?
No.
Platinum?
Is it that light? Devon
picks it up and puts it down immediately and goes, what is this?
It's shadow iron. It's not from this plane.
He grunts in disapproval.
What, you don't approve? I don't know how it will serve as a blade, but I have arcane uses for it.
I see.
I would appreciate if you'd give a try working it or sharpening it. See what you make of it.
Would you like it changed in shape or just sharpened into a blade? Forged and hammered down again and again?
I will defer to your professional opinion. Why the look of disgust?
But I knew everything about steels and metals in this world. Don't even know what this is.
It's not of this world, and so consider it an opportunity to learn. Even a master smith has always has room for new knowledge, new skills.
I suppose it's unsettling. He pokes it again with a stubby finger. Well, I'll see what I can do. Is there a backup in case I ruin this?
Not really, but I can go get another. I prefer not to, but I shrug. I'll give him the stone one as well, I suppose. This is not fair, but this isn't very workable.
He yells over his shoulder for someone named Stacy, and a youth comes running. She's got her
apprentice.
This must be the apprentice, yes. She's got freshly cut, like, shorn hair and very awkward. Like, someone just took a knife to it and, like, cut off what was long hair before. She's wearing leather overalls, heavy work boots, and thick gloves. She's got, like, sweat all over her, and her face is, like, blackened by soot and coal. And she runs over, and he says, clear my schedule for the next week. We're going to try something new. This is going to be a great opportunity for you. And he, like, hefts his heavy shoulder again, and has her, like, clear off the rest of the desk and, run around and do some things for her. And he gives you one more look before nodding. I'll send my apprentice off to you when we're ready.
On nods. Did he keep the stone blade, or was he not interested?
I don't think he even showed it to him.
I said I pulled it out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, he looks at that and pokes that one too.
Mm-hmm.
Pokes it again. This doesn't feel quite the same. And he, like, runs his hand over the texture. It's rough and grainy.
Yeah, I think
doesn't feel like metal.
This is rock.
He holds the two of them
rock.
next to each other and looks at them and goes,
You can, yeah.
He turns the blade. This doesn't even reflect light. What sort of metal reflects no light?
Told you, it's shadow.
The hell does that even mean?
I don't know. I'll let you know I'll tell you if I figure it out.
He waves his hand. Your witchy ways are no matter. I'll sort it out. Bring me my smallest chisel, or my smallest file, he calls to the woman, and the smallest whetstone, and water, and oil, and food. Things settles down as you head back out.
And more studying to regain MP. I don't know what else there was to work on. We need to get some cursed blood for some scrolls.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Where are you going to find cursed blood? Can you get blood out of ghosts?
That shadow plane seemed like a reasonable place. Or if I get any other inspiration for materials for these remove curse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did have one more question about your shadow portal. Was it simply an archway that was empty, and when the portal's not active, you could walk back and forth through it? Or was it an archway with, like, a stone facade in the middle of it?
I assumed it was just an archway that you could walk through.
Okay. I was assuming the other, that it had, like, a panel to it that the portal was cast upon instead of through
if that seemed, I mean, I was researching it for a few days. If that seemed like the more appropriate way to do it.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Is it, so it's like into a wall, or is it just
I'll leave that up to you.
Like
It can either be like a freestanding, archway with a thin sheet of stone through it, or it can be pressed into like a wall that the torch was held perpendicular to. Either one.
I guess a shadow needs to be cast, so maybe it's better if it's freestanding. But
that makes sense. I like that. Okay.
Cool.
Back to the tower we go then.
Yep. And more days of study, meditation, training.
Mm-hmm. Another 5 days passes before Heifer will return with the dagger.
Yeah, let me see how much MP I gain. Oops, how did I spell magic? Come on. 22 and 16 is 38. Plus 24 is 62, and that will bring me to full. So that's 3 days, and then I can do some stuff if I want it. Not sure what stuff I want to do.
Well, let's see if anything in town requires your attention while you wander.
Yeah.
No, there's some small minor bullshit that's happening around you. You might overhear, a little bit about this or that, but none of it rises to the attention that Devon really cares about. There's word that some bandits have been captured on the road is the most interesting thing. You talked about making sure the roads are safe to travel, and there was some sort of pushback on authority and who's really in charge of that. But someone has returned with some bandits to be held captive, and they're taking them to Akitos for judgment. That's about as interesting as it gets in town.
Okay. I'll stand back and see how Akitos handles this.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm doing some alchemy. Like, I don't know if the lab's been kept up in my absence, if we ever really had a lab, but preparing some more of those like elemental potions.
Yes. When you get to the lab, you'll find that there is a lot more glasswork than was in here previously. It appears that somehow, somewhere, a proper glass blower or glass furnace has been constructed, and materials have been brought to the tower for alchemical purposes.
Okay. So, I don't really need them urgently, but we were researching those like potions of like elemental belching.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll visit that. So I think that's probably what I'm researching in this time. Yeah, catching up on the library, skipping some time. Yeah, I guess we'll wait
doing
and
some
see
research, taking some notes.
I guess
things
we're
that a wizard
preparing
does.
for enchant an item at another level to do this Shadow Snap dagger and maybe some other things. I mean,
it seems like Devon is maybe. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say Devon's ultimate obsession is the Philosopher's Stone, the World Staff, and eternal life and eternal wealth, and insatiable hunger for knowledge and power and youth and other wizardly things.
As you put word to thought, describing the desires that you have, does it remind you at all of that shadow Devon that you saw, the talking about eternal hunger?
Figuring out what the heck that thing was. Let's throw out a contact other plane and see. Just a second. I'm also curious about golems and how to create them, but we'll get there in a little bit. So during this time, I've got enough spare MP to throw out a contact other plane spell.
Mm-hmm.
Be nice to have a remove curse ready, but it's fine. What am I going to die?
Damn, would never kill one of my characters. Contact other plane.
And I guess we need to decide how far removed.
Yes. How deep do you want to reach? What? Do you have a page number for Contact Other Plane? Oh, never mind. I just found it. Stumbled across it by accident.
It's in the player's handbook, I think.
Yeah. Chance of insanity, chance of knowledge, chance of veracity.
Is the shadow plane an elemental plane or an inner plane?
It is an inner plane.
So it's 2 steps removed. Seems like that's 1 step removed, but anyways.
It's weird. It is 1 step removed, but it's not an elemental plane.
Okay, so I think we'll just do the elemental plane. So I guess, so the chance of insanity is 20% minus 5%, because for every point over 15, so 16 reduces it by 5%.
Yeah.
So I've got a 15% chance of insanity. I don't go insane. Good thing I didn't. I guess I could have gone to an inner plane.
Every 2 levels of experience of the wizard, 1 question may be asked.
I'm gonna ask like 5 questions. Okay.
5 questions are dying. You're going insane. Insanity occurs. It lasts for 1 week for each removal of the plane. A maximum of 10 weeks.
I rolled for the insanity first, and I'm not insane. I guess.
Perfect.
Okay, so do you roll these in secret? Probably.
Mm-hmm. The DM answers all questions with yes, no, maybe, never, irrelevant, etc. A single word answer. Well, brief answers are given. Okay. All powers resent such contact.
Resent?
Yeah, second sentence. Okay. So you are reaching to, did you say to the shadow plane?
No, that might have made more sense. I think I said an elemental plane.
Which one?
But I mean, maybe a shadow plane would know more about this. I mean, I want to find out about my shadow self. Would the shadow plane would have been 2 steps removed or whatever?
I think the shadow plane is still 1 step removed. I think
so
we're doing our cosmology very different than they are, so it would be on the same level as
the elemental plane. Okay, yeah. So then a being, and it's just like I don't choose the being, right? I just like generically reach out to the shadow plane.
Mm-hmm.
And because these, at least the questions related to my shadow self, are related to the shadow plane, I think I would have a 90% chance of this being knowing the answers.
Potentially.
So there should be, so it's 55% chance of knowledge or 90% if it's related to that particular plane.
Yes.
Shadow.
Yes.
And 62 chance of it being true or 75% if it's specifically related.
Right.
So, so I guess I'll start off by asking, like, is the wizard Devon in the Shadow Necrot in the Shadow Tower, or in the Tower Necrot in the Shadow Plane a shadow of myself or something like that? And I assume these like questions, they get like translated via, right? Like this is like a weird meditation on plane, or this is verbal only, right? So I guess I just like sit down for a turn and go into a weird meditative trance.
And you ask your questions. But I need a specific question, not a something like that.
That was exactly what I said.
Okay. So
I mumbled through it, but it was like, I was trying to define where that is the shadow wizard Devon in the tower in Necrot in the shadow plane a shadow of myself. all this gives is a yes, no, maybe, never, irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
So you roll to see if this creature knows, which either 55 or 90%, and then there's the chance that they lie to me.
Mm-hmm. The answer comes back unknown.
As in, it doesn't. They don't know.
Either they don't know or they know and they're lying. But if you trust it, they are saying unknown.
So I get 5 questions. That was one. Like, I probably should have started, but I guess the second one will be like, do you know of the Wizard Devon?
No, comes the answer.
Do you know of Necrot?
Yes.
Do you know who lives there?
Yes.
Ooh. So it's probably not a Devon. Can't ask like what they are. Something like that. Like, are they a demon?
Unknown.
That's all the questions I get.
That was 4.
That was 5, right? I didn't start off. I started off asking if Devon, the Shadow Devon, was the shadow of myself.
Right.
And then they didn't know. And then I was like, do you know of Necrot? Do you know
what lives there?
What lives there?
Is it a demon? That's 4.
Is it a demon? Okay, so I guess I do have one more question.
Yeah.
Know if it's a demon. I'm gonna switch gears and ask about the Philosopher's Stone, and I will ask if if a shard, like, is there a shard of the Philosopher's Stone in the Feywild? Maybe I should reach out to the Feywild for that question. I guess is there a shard of the Philosopher's Stone in the Shadow Plane, in your plane, to like improve my chances of?
No.
Okay. Good. So, I think we've learned that creature in the tower is probably not known as Devon, right? So, like, this shadow creature knew of the resident of Necrot, but did not know them as Devon, and it doesn't know if it's a demon. I think it's interesting that, like, mechanically they're like, if you use Contact Other Plane, it has this mechanical improvement to your like magical item creation or spell research or something. But it seems like such an obtuse, useless spell, and like oddly specific, right? How do you get any spell research done asking yes or no questions?
Very, very carefully. Double checking, contacting over and over again and asking the same question like 5 times to see if you can get
going totally insane, or having your apprentice ready with a remove curse.
Right. Well, asking the safe planes, safe questions, and then doing it a couple times so you can get like a, if you're asking about the elemental plane of Earth and you ask the question twice and you get the same answer, then there's only 1% chance that they are lying or wrong, So I think you just very meticulously dig in. And in order to create magic items, which is what Contact Other Plane helps, you need to have access to 6th level spells. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So you would need at least 16 intelligence. Is that right? No, 16 gets you 8th level spells. Okay, so it's probably 14 intelligence that you would need, so you wouldn't get a bonus to any of that stuff, huh? Okay, I'm not sure. Anyway, Devon has some answers, maybe more questions. You've reached out to something that inhabits the shadow plane. Yes. Any idea what intelligence you've reached? Any musings?
I have no idea what resides in the shadow plane. Maybe some creature similar to that Shadow Devon itself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, Devon.
Thinking about golems. I want them, but they're too high level. So we'll get there eventually. To create... I need to be at least 14th level, I think, to create golems.
Okay.
So, eventually.
Your apprentices were present for your communicating with the other plane. Not that they would have heard what the other plane had to say to you. That would be only in your mind. But they're there to take down what you say, what you speak aloud in the room, and make notes on any motions you would have or movements you would have, which help you sort of understand that as you receive answers, your face has like an uncontrolled twitching that you weren't even aware of. When these things reach back out to you and touch your mind, it causes like a physical tightening on your face. But that's good enough for now. This Heisek guy, he's still in town. You can see him from your tower window. He's out there. He just hasn't come to your house. He hasn't bothered your wife, who is still struggling with the fact that her husband has returned after all these years. There's so much more to do. There's the Feywild. They might have questions or answers.
Oh yeah, I should contact the Feywild. Don't want to go insane though.
Yeah.
So I will go ahead and risk it one more time, I think. Is the Feywild also one step removed, or is
it
that
is two? Yes.
Inner plane?
Yes.
20% chance of insanity. Not great odds. But I guess there's only a...
Yeah, don't you want to remove curse on hand before you really...
Yeah. Where do I find some cursed creatures, though? I guess I'll research that in my library and see if I can find records of any cursed creatures in the area. So I can make another portal somewhere, but... Is the Yugoloth a cursed creature?
Really good question. Is there a particular way that you would find it? I mean, it's a demon from another plane, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. The Yugoloth might be cursed. There is that haunted, ghostly village that definitely seems cursed. The Medusa, she made the things, and those aren't cursed, but she might be cursed in and of herself. And you did, banish her from these lands, and she's taken up residence on an island far away.
Maybe the ghost town is a good place to go. How do I make a curse? Like, would making a scroll of remove curse in the ghost town be enough?
Well, you need an exotic ingredient for the
ink. I need to like infuse the. Yeah, we were being sort of fast and loose with the ink, right? Because if we're carving it, so like if I could find a way to infuse the curse into the silver that I'm using as the scroll material. Or if I can get the ghosts to curse the
You need some like ectoplasm to rub all over your tablet.
Yeah. I guess I'll go visit the cursed village and see what I can find. Did I ever legend lore that village? Or do any research on it, or what happened there?
I don't think so.
Or would rather just visit in person? Can I roll some kind of? Can I roll a folklore check and see?
Yeah, you've got a whole library, and in the years you've been gone, your apprentices have collected great information on the land.
Natural one.
And
do you want to make up some colossal misunderstanding that I have, or shall I just go off uninformed?
There's just no record of that place. You talk to your apprentices and like, what place are you talking about? No one has any knowledge of what this is. And maybe you doubt that it even exists. You've got a complete record of the Red Hills here, except for this like ghostly village that exists near the swamps.
Well, let's check it out.
Are we sure you haven't gone insane by Contact Other Plane?
Stop that right now.
Is this even real?
I'm your master. You do not doubt my sanity. All right. All right. Let's go.
Yeah, we go.
They can come if they want. Otherwise, they just need to record that this village exists.
Yeah, Cassandra will volunteer to come with you. She hasn't been out and about in a while.
Okay.
Moff can stay back and guard the palace, guard the tower, and off you go with goats at your side to carry your belongings.
Perfect. Looks like it's 2 days. It's 2 days, I think.
Yeah, 2 days later.
2 days back. I guess we can't quite. Yeah, there's no villages either. It's kind of just a random journey.
On your first day, you will pass some goat herders who are just sort of on the way out there, hanging out. I don't know if you want to talk to them. You meet them like in this hex over here, a little bit farther from Necrot or Grekos than you would normally imagine goat herders to be. But that's the only thing you encounter.
I used to wander that far, did I not? No, I will wave and continue on our way.
Sure. You arrive at the village, and sure enough...
I think we brought some silver with us to see if we can get cursed silver or something. Otherwise, we're just going to search out some ghost ectoplasm. Am I indeed... Was it this hex here? Or... Oh, no, it was on the border of the swamp, right?
I think it was this one.
That's so too, but I saw a giant there.
Yeah, well, they can both exist in the same hex. It's a 5 by 5 mile area.
Yeah. So we approach.
Yeah, you approach, and it's a full 2-day journey. So you arrive sort of late.
Right at twilight. Ooh.
Late in the evening. The winds die down here in the confines of the trees near the swamp.
Some water. I don't know if it counts as a forced march, but I think we're going to work through the night. So we go to the edge of the swamp and we look around for the remains of structures.
Walking along
Devon
the edge.
Has archaeology and cartography, and so he instructs Cassandra in the charting of such things, like the mapping of this ancient village. So we do like we're probably only going to spend one evening, one night doing this, but we like map out the remains of this village.
Yeah, it's not.
It does exist. It's not.
It does exist. You're not crazy. There's structures here that seem surprisingly intact for the fact that no one has visited them in a very long time.
I don't know if I asked this at the time, but now that I'm here, can I like assess their construction? Like are these modern? Like were these made by like with modern technology, or is this like ancient?
Yeah.
Or, and I guess like the quality of or like how much it's degraded.
That's a fairly easy thing. No checks needed. You're not in any hurry or anything. You can just go from house to house and see that it is surprisingly in good shape. It looks like maybe someone built this couple years ago and then like maybe didn't tend to it for 6 months or 8 months. Like not everything is perfect. Some of the thatch is out of place in one area. One of the walls, has a little bit of crumbling on it, but otherwise it's in good shape.
Okay.
Too good of shape.
Yeah. Let's see. Does Cassandra have a detect magic? Let's see what she's got. She does have detect magic. We want to save her MP for magic missile? Probably. I think Devon will snort some powder and do his own detect magic.
It's getting dark, so Cassandra looks around to like make a little fire so that there can be some food cooked and some light sources created if it need be. She finds a burn pit in the middle of town that would have been used as like a communal fire once upon a time, and gathers some wood and some stones, builds it up again, and gets it going. The water from the swamp laps on the shore nearby. You can see some eels slithering around, poking up onto shore to grab little bugs before disappearing back into the waters.
So I'm casting detect magic. Is there anything magic here?
Yeah, you snort your dust. You look around. And yes, there's a thin sheen of magic pervading the entire village.
Buildings too?
Yeah, well, it's sort of like it's in the air. It covers everything. The whole zone is something.
The structure itself is like if these buildings are cursed, I could take some splinters of wood, and I could use that to etch my my stone. I'll explain the etching later, but maybe that's like the first thing that comes to mind. So I think I collect some shards of wood to use as tools and see if that may work.
Shavings off the doors, yes.
Like nice long splinters, and I get like a fistful of those little shards and take them. Can I see the magic in those shards? Or is it?
No, not really. You carve the shards and you hold them up and you move them around, and they don't seem to be radiating magic themselves as splinters or shards. It's more of just like the area, not the building itself.
So I'll wander around and see what else I can find here that might be cursed. Like I'll go through the buildings and see if there's like, I don't know, bones of the cursed, or like.
No, in one of these buildings there, you'll notice towards the back of the ground here, there's sort of like a little patch of stronger magic radiating from the ground near the back of one of these huts.
I dig it up with my hands.
Pulling through the earth, you uncover a hatch in the ground.
I lift the hatch. It's probably getting towards twilight now, right?
Yeah, it takes a little while to, the hatch is a few inches deep, so you got to dig all the way around it to really pull it open. It's got a nice heavy rope that runs through it to help you lift it up. And opening it, there is a pit beneath it with a simple ladder that drops down into what appears to be maybe like a small, very small hallway, maybe shoulder width, quite narrow.
Vaughn climbs down.
Yes, the hallway extends only a few feet into the darkness, but it gets lost down there. You'll need some source of light, just a little bit.
I'm divine. I can see in the dark, can't I?
You're in for vision.
Yeah, is that enough with the hatch open and the light leaking through?
For now, but when the sun
Cassandra
fully goes
probably-
down...
Cassandra probably, I mean, she'll need light, so I think she follows after with the torch.
Mm-hmm.
I can always cast. a light
Is she
spell,
coming with you?
but I don't know, that's up to her.
Yeah, I think she's busy setting up a fire in the middle of town while you're inspecting.
Okay. I'll figure, I have a light spell that I can cast if I
Yeah.
need to, but for now it's
For
twilight.
now, it's
and
fine. Your eyes
I guess
adjust.
depends how deep this cavern goes.
It's not very deep at all. It's maybe only 10 feet in total before it opens up into a larger room, maybe 8 feet wide, 12 feet deep, and it sort of has a bit of a staircase that heads down in all directions, sort of like a step well sort of situation into what is just a pile of bones.
Oh, perfect. Cursed bones. Has my magic worn off? Did I have a random round of blindness at some point up there?
What is the duration of light? Of detect magic, I mean.
1 round per level, so 11 minutes.
Wander around for 4, dig up the thing for 5, walk down.
Yeah.
You've got one more round down here before it wears off.
Oh, great. I'll be blind as soon as the ghosts show up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is any of this magical? Are the bones magical?
Oh yeah, the radiating source of magic is the bone pit.
Okay. Cursed bones. Cool. Devon shouts up, Cassandra!
Yes.
You might want to come down here. What was this basement made out of? Like, what were the steps
just
made out of?
earth.
Earth?
Yeah.
Is the ceiling held up with like wooden beams or something?
No, it's just precarious. It's structurally unsound. A small earthquake might cause a collapse. Too much weight above it might cause a collapse.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. As I go blind, I will use that round to legend lore this pile of bones or something. So like I'm sensing the magic and then like consulting my Sirona as I go blind.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps I'm greeted with some visions of the past or stroke of inspiration, or maybe it flubs and I don't get anything useful.
Mm-hmm. Legend lore the bones. The bones or the village?
Bones. Or like, I don't know, spiritual pit, this basement. I don't know. We'll see.
Excellent.
I thought I tried the village maybe and failed or didn't. I don't know.
The legend lore spell doesn't return any information about this place.
There's no legend about this cursed bone pit.
Yeah, it's completely unknown through your Sirona. It's like it doesn't exist. Like you're asking it about a legend that you've just made up on the spot.
Well, I think I'm going to take some cursed bones with me. Are these human bones? Is that pretty apparent?
I mean, you're feeling around in the darkness for them.
Okay. I've got
No,
enough
no,
MP.
you saw
I cast
skulls. You saw
I cast my
skulls.
damn light spell. Probably as Cassandra comes down.
I meant the darkness because you're blinded for the one round.
Oh, no, I've waited until...
Yeah.
I'd make some fireflies.
While you're waiting for Cassandra to come back, and as the blindness is beginning to fade from you, you swear there's like a whisper nearby. Give me a perception check or a charisma check to make out the sound, to make out the word.
They're both
that might be whispered.
same. They're both 12.
Yeah. You just hear a pose.
Atropos. Is this her bone pile? Was this where she was from? Yeah. Does Cassandra come down the ladder?
Yeah, she comes down the ladder, a fresh torch blazing, wrapped in, thickly soaked oil.
Oh, great. Just as I've summoned my fireflies.
Mm-hmm. The fireflies buzz around. She holds her torch at bay, walks into the bone pit, and... Oh, these poor souls.
think we found the source of the problem. What do you make of it?
Human, look at the skulls, she says, pointing to some skulls in the pile here. She walks up to them and picks one up and smells it. It's sort of fresh. Certainly not hundreds of years old. Maybe a year, couple years. There's no bone, there's no meat on them, so picked clean by bugs, perhaps. And she feels the weight of the bone in her hand. Still has
bugs, or still moist? Is that what you're
moist?
saying?
Yes, still moist.
Picked clean by bugs, and then Devon is inspecting a bone for tooth marks, and maybe if this were a movie, there would be a dramatic and then they zoom in on
and the bone turns over, and sure enough there are some deep gnash marks, some very sharp triangular points in these bones.
Yeah.
She looks over your shoulder to see the bone in your hand and pulls her head back. That's unsettling.
Yes. Well, I think we got what we came for, other than solving the mystery of this place. Devon's looking around, waiting for a ghost to ambush him at any minute.
No, it's fine. No ghosts.
Probably shouldn't sleep here. I think I just take the one cursed bone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that should be enough. And climb up the ladder, and we make camp in the woods a few minutes away.
Okay.
Watching so as night falls, watching the village, do we see anything strange? Lights or spirits? We're probably on a hill, as I think the hills sort of descend into the swamp, and the village is near swamp level.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on a hill
up
with
the hill.
a view of the village, and Devon watches to see if there's anything strange happening.
How late do you stay up to watch? Will you watch the whole night, or just a few hours?
No, a few hours. A few hours past dark. So an ordinary, 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hanging out near the campfire. Cassandra falls asleep, probably, and...
Yeah, Devon, he wants to stay up late-ish to see, not enough to disturb his, schedule, but, it's not...
Right.
If you're resting by a fire, you can stay up till midnight and still get a good night's sleep.
Well, it's a few hours after you make camp. Cassandra has just passed out and drifted off to sleep. When you do notice a ghostly light within the village, sort of very dim, but sort of illuminating the trees from the background. Up here on the hill, you can make out buildings in the village, but it is within the confines of woods, so most of it is blocked, but the trees are being backlit, being illuminated by something in the village that sort of picks up and moves and then fades, and then a little bit while later another light will pick up and move and fade, and then there'll be two lights that are sort of distant, and one of them fades quickly and the other moves about, sort of pulsing gently and slowly before fading away.
I could cast a remove curse spell on this place. That would probably be a nice thing to do, but I think I need some cursed bones before I do that. Despite his better judgment, I think Devon's curiosity gets the better of him, and he leaves Cassandra asleep here at the camp as he approaches the village.
This time you're not in the village when the ghosts come out. You're coming in from afar, and you have the advantage of not disturbing them, but being able to see them first.
And the advantage of being an 11th level wizard that can blow these ghosts to pieces if need be.
Yeah, totally. And the first thing you see, one of these pulsing lights is being shed by the visage of a fairly poor woman who is carrying a basket of something, and she like kneels down in front of the fire pit that Cassandra had just like rebuilt and made a fire in a little while ago, and those flames have died away. And she like starts taking something out of the basket and like putting it on something that's not real. Like, you can see the woman, you can see the basket, but whatever it is she's handling doesn't have a form to it. And she's moving something with both hands kind of in a forward manner over and over again, pulling from the basket and putting on something over the fire pit. And then she like gets up to turn around, and then her eyes go wide and she lets out like a soundless scream. No, she's not looking at you. Yeah. And her hands go up in like a defensive posture before she topples backwards on the ground, and you can see like little bits of her being ripped off and thrown away, and then the whole thing fades.
Is there anyone else? Anyone to talk to?
Yeah,
Hello,
some moments.
Devon shouts of these ghostly figures. I feel like last time they attacked me.
Yeah. You call out, and another light picks up. Another woman approaches, this time like sees you and starts walking in your direction.
Is she coming to like eat me, or is she just like walking over?
She's hoisting up her long skirts so that she can like make her way up the hill in your direction. And you'll notice that this woman has like a large pregnant belly that she's carrying with her as she walks up the hill.
You're gonna make me blast a pregnant lady?
Not making you do anything.
You're a monster.
She
Hello
walks
there.
up the hill and looks at you, and her head cocks to the side, and her mouth moves and no sounds come out.
Can I ESP her?
You can try.
I try. I assume I didn't do my meditations this morning because I'm traveling. Probably not.
Probably not. Your ESP spell will go off. You can gaze the contents, the surface thoughts of her mind, which is sort of like a hello, stranger. Who are you? Who is this person arriving from the outside? And why do you look so familiar? Do I know you?
Can you hear me? My name is Devon. Like, can I register her surface thoughts to see if she's like hearing me?
Yeah, and visually she will nod when you ask if she can hear you.
Yeah. What happened to this place? Do you know Atropos?
Her face lights up with a smile when you say that name, and the ESP will come back with like a friendly recognition. She holds out a hand to you.
Is her home that away? And I point like over my back south to like her cave in the hills.
No, her head shakes.
And then I point around the village and see if she'll point me to Atropos's hut or whatever, if she lives, or like if Atropos lives in this village.
You get the impression of like a guest who does not have a home.
Okay. Where is she? And like,
woman looks around for a little bit and then does like a beckoning, and you get the surface thoughts of like my home. And she will take you to the hut.
On high alert to see if any ghosts come to ambush me.
No, this is the only one here. She takes you to the hut adjacent to the hut that has the bone pit in it. And there's not a lot of these things, so they're all pretty close together anyway. But the one
wasn't in the hut. Was it in the hut or was it behind the hut?
It was in the back of the hut, like inside the building, but at the back of the building. And she will lead you to her house. And she will go to like pantomime opening the door, but phases right through it and disappears inside.
I'll open the door and look inside.
Yeah.
Is the moon out?
No, it is too early in the night for the moon to be out in its current phase.
Oh, okay. Are there stars? Can I see?
There are stars.
Or should I cast a light spell?
No. There's plenty of starlight shining in through the clear sky above, and your infravision kicks in.
Yeah, vision is good enough to look inside this hut.
You could see her surface thoughts are like the searching of the hut for someone or something. And then she turns to you and says, you're only really getting the surface thoughts. It's just like I'm not sure where she is right now. and then like a thought of hospitality, and she makes like a gesture to an empty spot in the room as if maybe she's offering you to sit down or drink food or water.
Devon sort of looks over his shoulder to see if there's any other visions in the village.
No. But when you look back, the woman perks up, and you get a clear thought on the surface. Atropos. Okay. And the woman walks towards you, as, you're between her and the door.
Mm-hmm. I back out of the way, and I'm looking to see if Atropos is there. I will try to shift the ESP to see if I sense any other consciousness.
No, it's just her, just this one ghostly figure. And she will pantomime opening the door again, even though it's already open, and pantomime showing someone to sit in the same way that she showed you to sit, and then she heads to the
Atropos.
You can't see Atropos. She heads to the back of the house where there's a little fire pit or a fireplace built into the wall, leans over it to tend to something, and then falls flat and begins to thrash about as if something is on her back, pushing her into the ground before she fades. And another light comes on somewhere else in the village. This one is a gentleman. Some sort of, perhaps a tanner by the looks of him.
I was about to say I'd seen enough, but if I see another vision, I may watch another vision. Unless the ghosts attack me or anything.
You catch them through one of the holes in the walls here. They don't seem to see you at first. They are moving with what appears to be they have the motion that they're carrying something heavy over their shoulder, but you can't quite make out what it is. And they have the tools of a leather worker around their belts. And they come to a spot next to a hut and toss something heavy onto something not quite there. You have not made yourself known to this person, and they do not see you. They're just going about the daily acts of life presently.
I watch their murder.
This one is not murdered. This one is just going about their business. 5-10 minutes pass, and they seem to be in the process of skinning some sort of creature and hanging up probably the flesh or the skin on a rack.
Okay. I will return to camp then.
Okay.
Glancing over my shoulder.
The spirits
catching other visions, but...
bother you no more this evening.
Okay. Well,
you wake up the next morning with your apprentice. There's some stretching. She instinctively pulls out the cooking pots or whatever to make up some breakfast. And she gets it going
after
quickly.
You fell asleep, I saw some visions, the ghosts in the town.
Really? So it's there?
Yes. Needless to say, those people were brutally murdered.
You think it's safe to go in?
Not particularly, no.
Well, we're still going, right?
What do you mean? We went yesterday. You don't remember? Devon remembers clearly, right?
Yeah, she pulls some bacon strips off of the pot and sets them on a plate and hands it to you. Did you go last night?
I did, but we both went yesterday evening. Check your notes.
She puts down her plate and heads over to her notebook and flips it open and fans through the pages. And
is there a page where she took notes yesterday?
No. I mean, maybe you were so busy and it was late and maybe the note taking didn't get done.
Take notes? I reach into my bag and pull out the gnawed human femur or whatever it was. Is that still there?
Oh yeah, it's still there.
You don't remember the bones?
She looks at that curiously. No? Did you get that last night while I was asleep?
Devon tucks it away. Maybe it's better if this village remains lost to history.
I don't mean to speak out of turn, my lord, my grace, but something weird has come over you in the last few days, ever since you went through that portal. You speak of things that aren't here, that we don't see, events that haven't happened. Are you?
Perhaps you need to study harder. One day you will understand. Let me ask. Is it my moral imperative to lift the curse upon this place? If I have the power to do so? Perhaps
That
these are
implies
questions.
all curses are evil and must
Well
be undone.
Well said. Cassandra's wisdom.
It better be high. It is 6.
Everyone gets lucky sometimes.
You roll a 20 every now and then. It's fine.
Yeah. We're very wise, apprentice.
Am
I? I think we leave Cassandra mystified and somewhat let down.
She double checks with you that you sure you don't want to head into the village?
Okay, let's head into the village. Why don't you, this is a good opportunity for you to lead the investigation. No, we were recording maps of yesterday. Remember we were mapping out the village?
Yeah, you pull up in your notebook and...
I don't have my note. Those were in her notebook.
There's no fucking maps.
Yeah.
Yeah, her notebook is empty.
Devon has the proficiencies. I think he's probably working on his tutoring proficiency and failing utterly. Right, because he was teaching her. He was like, they were using her notebook, but he saw her writing in her notebook.
Absolutely, 100%. There's no way those notes aren't there.
I think he asked to see it, and he like counts pages.
Mm-hmm.
Right, he like goes to the last entry, and he's like, I knew that we were writing on this next page, and it's now blank. Is that the case?
That is the case.
So weird. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, you walk into the village and she kind of approaches tentatively, staff in hand, and pokes around at the buildings.
There, right?
This village is still there. She inspects this block.
This working on his tutoring proficiency. He pretends like he hasn't done this lesson a million times before, and walks her through the process of like accurately noting out like the locations of these buildings and making observations on what they see. Yet again, same pages of the same notebook.
Yep, and they get filled in a very similar way. Not exactly. The drawings aren't, perfect.
Except it's morning now, so we spend a few hours mapping out the village. And unless Cassandra happens upon that hatch, I don't think we go back down there. I'm gonna roll a perception check for her, maybe, to see if she finds it.
You go building to building, inspecting them all, and when you return to the building that has the hatch in it, the ground is nice and covered and smoothed over again. You are absolutely sure you left it disturbed.
Yeah.
And she, there's no reason to dig in the ground randomly in that one spot, so she doesn't bother with it whatsoever.
Okay. In that case, out of curiosity, when she moves on from the building, Devon waits a few moments longer and digs up the back of that.
Is the hatch just as you left it?
The hatch is there.
Yeah.
All right. He like kicks the dirt back, leaves it, and goes, follows after, catches up with Cassandra. And after like a couple hours of mapping out the village and making notes, he kind of hurries her along and suggests that we get moving. Otherwise, we're not going to make it back.
Yep. She packs up all her stuff. Seems pleased to have sorted this place. She mentions she's a little disappointed that there was no ghost here or curse or anything like that.
Don't be so sure. Let's visit Kronos on the way home. Ask him what he knows of this place.
Yes, she's very happy to make a detour.
It will probably add one day to our journey back, I think.
I think so.
But we'll go ahead and do that. So we spend a night in the hills on the way. And then
there are some wolves. They're not a threat to you because you're 11th level wizard, but you do encounter a pack of hungry wolves.
Do they attack us? Do I need to blast them?
You've got a fire, so they just sort of circle the campfire at night at a distance. I'm only mentioning it to, remind us that the woods are still the hills are still a dangerous place for anyone but Devon. When there's a pack of hungry wolves nearby, I don't think you worry about it too much. You've got a fire to keep them at bay, but for ordinary people, this could be a dangerous moment. I don't know if you want to expend magic on it, or if you want to like mundanely deal with them, or task Cassandra with protecting the two of you.
Do they attack? I don't think we want to kill, unless I don't know what the ecology of these hills are like, but I don't know if we want to just start blasting
Wildlife.
I have an animal handling skill. This is more for herd animals, not like wild animals. But I mean, like I was a shepherd. I think like I I just like stand up and wave my stick in a shepherdly fashion. And I think like the wolves, they aren't like scared, but they're like, they like, instead of attacking, they just circle the camp and leave me and my apprentice alone. We've got goats with us too. Yeah, I've got my flock.
You've got your flock of goats, but you've got like a nice big fire in the middle of your campsite, which
so
helps
like
keep them at bay.
Of fire and my pike, and my shouting and my divine presence. I think the wolves.
They retreat after a half hour of investigation. They move on to easier food, and you come to your friend.
Has his temple changed much? His chapel.
Large columns of granite rise out in front of it with roofs over top and statues carved on this new front facade. It looks like this temple has grown in great strength. There's even like a little gathering area with tables for visitors to come and rest at. The crevice inside has been widened a little bit and shaped a little bit to make it a little easier with which to work. And his domicile at the very back now has like a wall with like a large giant-sized door in it, so he can block off his home from the temple.
What are the carvings of? Are they all the gods? Are they?
Well, there's Vilthara and her symbol most prominently featured on the center, and the front and center, and then all the other deities sort of wrapping around to the sides. And you'll notice that the chairs here are like, they have cushions on them made of that fine Harthomian flax and linens.
Is everything giant-sized or?
No, most of the stuff here is normal person-sized, like human-sized. It looks like it has been.
The roof is tall enough for a giant to walk through.
Yes. The columns rise like 25 feet in the air with a massive stone ceiling above it, and
It's quite resplendent. Have you visited here in my absence? Spawn asks Cassandra.
Twice. Once after you have been gone for 2 weeks, and once a year after that. About.
Who built all of this?
I think Kronos himself did all the heavy lifting, but materials and designs and supplies were provided by other visitors, some from quite afar.
You can speak his name.
Some by High Six Men, some by our very own people.
I wonder what Kronos would make of this Isaac situation. Perhaps when the need for vengeance arises, I will ask his advice. We're walking through the columns up to the crevice itself. Is the temple still in that like crack in the rock? Yeah.
Yep.
So we walk through. Is there anyone here other than
Kronos is here. He's sitting before a fire, warming his hands together, and he sees you, and his voice echoes out. My dear Devon, I thought the world was rid of you. The goddess of vengeance herself said I had no more need to crush your skull. And yet here you stand.
I was out of this world for a time, but I am back. Is the blood fountain still flowing?
It is.
Yeah.
Have you come for vengeance, for guidance?
Not quite yet for myself, but perhaps soon. But the subject of vengeance is on my mind. I guess straight to business. You've
Please. There's nothing so direct as vengeance.
I pull out the bone and I say, "Are you aware of the abandoned village about a day's northwest of here on the edge of the swamp?"
He shakes his head. No.
Perhaps you can meditate on it for me. I show him the bone. I suspect that Atropos preyed upon this village in the past. Now it is haunted or cursed or something. I was curious if you had any knowledge or
He
thoughts.
scratches at his face.
In particular, I wondered whether Cassandra and I were debating whether it was my moral imperative to lift the curse, or whether such things were set about this way by the will of the gods. Has he inspected the bone?
Yeah, he picks up the bone and holds it in his fingers and looks at it and hands it back to you.
Okay.
Looks like animal bites to me. Maybe crocodiles? Badgers? I don't know. Small creatures of your size.
Perhaps a witch.
Perhaps. Would you like me to divine the fate of this village?
I'm curious, but I leave your. But I think such decisions are up to you.
Fate is not usually the area of my expertise. His eyes flick over to Cassandra. I could tell you that one with you is plotting something, but...
Don smiles and looks sideways at Cassandra.
Who looks like...
These, oh yeah, he does have the Amulet of Vengeance. But this is perhaps a matter of vengeance. Were these villagers wronged?
I need to know the name
vengeance?
Of the village, or I'll need a piece of the village. Oh, that bone! And he reaches back for the
I've
bone
got the
in your
bone,
hand.
and I've also got some like shards of wood, but I think the bone is fine enough.
He looks at the bone. He sets it down before him, takes a prayerful stance in front of one of the internal symbols of Velthara, these like huge crucifixes with a V going across them, attaching the sides to the base. And he holds places the bone up before his forehead and hums and chants and prays amongst himself, before eventually snapping out of it and handing the bone back to you and goes, I think this is just an animal bone. There's no vengeance attached to this in any way, shape, or form.
I think Atropos has worked some magic over that place. Cassandra's very memory of it has been altered.
What do you mean? We haven't even gotten there yet, she calls out.
Then where did I get this bone?
She shrugs. I thought you brought it with you.
Can I see your notebook?
She sighs and heaves off her backpack and digs around and pulls out the notebook. You can page through it and find the pages blank.
Bunch shakes his head. Something is amiss, but if the spirit does not cry out for vengeance, I will not concern myself with lifting their curse. Well, I suppose that settles it for now. It appears you've been well. I love what you've done with the place.
There have been many who have come to my doors seeking help, seeking guidance on those who have wronged them. seeking for ways to set things right. And as they have been guided, they have come back with rewards. Great rewards.
I think we'll hang out here, shoot the ship for a couple of hours, probably leave and get get another hex movement in this day so we can get back to Necroth the next day.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It also doesn't, staying in a Temple of Vengeance doesn't seem much better than staying in the hills. But before we go, I will leave an offering. We brought the silver just in case we needed to do something with it in the village. And we wound up taking the bones. So I'll leave the silver here with Kronos as like an offering of thanks or whatever for his prayer, for his guidance, right? You're supposed to leave offerings when a cleric gives services. So
absolutely, yeah.
We'll leave this and we can get more silver when we get back to Necroth.
Yeah, he thanks you for the offering and asks if you ever need his services, come on by. He's always happy to help. And on your way out, Cassandra will, once out of earshot of the giant, she will ask you, you said my memory's been fuzzy? Have we been to the temple? The ghost village yet?
Twice we mapped it out, and it's been wiped from your mind and from your notebook. I suspect Atropos has cast some sort of magic on the place to conceal her crimes.
You know, you've been very strange since you went through that portal.
You've already said this, and
she goes
I told
quiet.
you that perhaps when you're older and more learned, you will understand. And then you said something very wise. Maybe I am losing my mind.
She remains quiet for the duration of your journey. You'll get back a day and a half later. And I think this is our place to stop.
Yeah, can we wrap up with an attempt to resolving the scroll check?
Of course, yes, that's a great thing to do. You do have the bone. You can use it.
I've got the bones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to splinter it up and get like some bone shards, hopefully cursed bones. And then I will roll out some sheets of silver, just like we did for the detect magic scrolls. And then so first off, I will attune myself to these cursed bone shards. The spell synchronizes Devon to the resonant frequency of a weapon, in this case, a little bone shard. Natural, non-metallic material. Bone is natural and non-metallic. And it makes it an extension of my body, allowing touch attacks to be cast through the weapon and allowing me to use it as a martial arts weapon. In this case, I will be casting Lesser Disintegration through the bone shard. So the bone shard is now an extension of my body. When I use Lesser Disintegration to turn my hands into like disintegrating whatever touch attacks, I can use the bone to disintegrate as well because it's an extension of my body. So I disintegrate out the magic runes using the cursed bone shard as my special ink to etch arcane runes of a remove curse spell into the scroll.
Excellent.
Probably making multiple scrolls if I can over the course of time. How long does it take to make a scroll? Is it 1 day per spell level? Is that right?
That sounds right, but I'm going to double check. But I think that is accurate. Combat, spells, research, and magical item creation. Blah, 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 blah. Roll. Research time. 1 day per spell level. Yep.
Okay, so 4 days per scroll. I'll probably make a bundle of these.
Okay.
And then I guess you're going to roll to see if it works.
Right.
And so you're just,
You have an 80 plus 11 minus 4, so 87% chance of success.
Yeah, there might be a +5 for the quality of the paper. I guess
Right.
We'll leave that up to you. Baseline is for parchment. Paper gives a +5. Papyrus gives a -5. So then there's the question. Then there's the question of, where does silver fit into all of that? And I feel like maybe that's +5.
I think it's +5. Yeah, I don't think it's more or less.
80 plus 11 minus 4 plus 5. So I think it's a 92% chance of success.
Yeah,
and a 5% chance of curse. And
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have rolled the dice 5 times. I have 5 results. I will make my notes.
I should just cast a remove curse on these, right? Or do we
remove the curse of the curse?
Right. That's the prudent way to handle cursed magic items, right? You just cast a remove curse on them when you're done.
Yeah, but I think if a scroll is cursed and the curse is removed, I think the scroll fizzles, right? I don't think, I think I don't know if you can remove the curse on it, because I think that just means you've done it so wrongly that it will cast a wrong spell, and so the creation of it was flawed. It's not like a curse has been placed upon it.
Yeah.
Check in secret. Since natural 96 or higher creates a curse scroll, the creator of the curse has no idea the work is flawed until he tries to use it. Yeah. So I think it's just there's not a curse placed upon it. It is just cursed in the sense that it is wrong, and it will curse you when you cast it in some way, shape, or form. I really wish they would define curse anywhere in any of these books, because they use it in so many different forms. But it's fine. It's fine. It would be your apprentices who are casting it anyway, so it's not like it's going to hurt you.
Well, if I'm relying on it to heal me or whatever.
This is why we have 3 apprentices. One of them will cast it right.
Yeah. And I guess they're too low of a level to cast it, so there's a % chance of it failing or something.
Yeah. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Pardon me. That's why there's 5 of them.
Yes, 5 remove curses and 3 apprentices. Well then, we are going to wrap up for Dicing with Death today.
So the bones were cursed. It worked.
Yes.
To your satisfaction.
Yes. Everything seemed to go fine. Everything went peachy. Except for some weird memory things and, weird Shadow Divan, but those were probably just blips. They can be ignored. Yeah. So this was Dicing with Death. We will be back in a few weeks. I'm actually headed out of town, not next week, but the following. So maybe the 1st or 2nd week in March for Dicing with Death.
Cool.
Yeah. Anything to say before we head out?
No. Thanks for watching. Thanks for playing. GG.
GG. See you next time. Bye-bye.